the bomb hole.
Bomb Hole Podcast.
It's going to be very hot. It's going to be very uncomfortable for everybody.
The bomb hole.
We're gonna slide down them big hills, you know what I mean, on the big, nice burgundy snowboard.
All right, big day here in the booth at the Bomb Hole, which is presented by Pub Beer. First things first, Jan Bud, how you doing today?
So good, my dog.
Whew. To my left, we got Gary Land in the booth. Gary, how are you doing?
Doing great. I'm here. This is dope.
We're so happy that you're here. For the listeners that don't know who you are, Gary is a world-class photographer director that comes from snowboarding and is responsible for many iconic snowboard imagery, as seen in his book, East Street Archives, which you guys should all check out. He has gone on to shoot LeBron James, Serena Williams, Tiger Woods, and, of course, TB12 Tom Brady, the GOAT. He shot campaigns for Reebok, Nike, Under Armour. He is a big dog in the photo world and a wealth of knowledge and stories. It's going to be a great episode. Here we go.
Yeah.
First things first, let's just dive right in. What got you into shooting snowboard photography? I want to hear about it.
Oh, my God. So growing up in Virginia Beach, I, started kind of shooting skateboarding, and that was kind of my gig. I loved it. It was something about, shooting my friends. It was more vert scene back then. Trashmore was kind of like coming up, and got to go there and hang out with guys like, Sergi Ventura and, Eddie Gutierrez. And, every once in a while you got, Tony Hawk would pop in. But at that point, Grant Britton was super on the scene and had already established himself. So to be a young kid watching that happen, it was natural for me to want to just go get whatever I could get for a camera and just do the same. So it started there. And then I remember working at a surf shop and kind of like managed that for a little bit. And we started getting snowboards in, which I'm like, what the hell is this? I never had experienced that at all. We don't have any hills in Virginia Beach. So yeah, man, seeing that, I was drawn to it. And then we got this video, and I think it was Chill or something. It was just playing over and over on a loop in our store. And I just remember like Jeff Brushy's part. I'm like, dude, that is so rad. Like, I want to do that. Because I had surfed, skated. So yeah, man, I was like, fuck it. I'm going to just quit my job, break up with my girlfriend and freaking drive to Vermont and try things out. So that's kind of what I did. I just took a whim and just went out there. And, I remember reaching out. There's a magazine called Eastern Edge, and Neil Korn and Andrew Semitis, Serginius, whatever you want to call him. Super Genius. Was running that. And I'd said, yo, I'm, this young kid from, Virginia Beach, surfer, skater, photographer. And again, I had just started, so it wasn't like I even knew what the fuck I was doing at the time, But like, I want to come out and I want to experience snowboarding. I'd love to shoot some stuff. And they're like, yeah, come on out. So I did. So I had that kind of knowing that, at least I could, go start shooting some stuff and maybe I could contribute. And didn't even think about it as a money thing, but more just fun. So yeah, I moved to Killington literally on a whim. It's just like, I'll find a place to stay, I'll find a job, and I'll find some guys to shoot snowboarding. And I did. It was just weird. It all just kind of lined up. And that's how it started. And met a crew and just literally learned how to snowboard and learned how to take photos at the same time.
Did you already have some skateboard shots published?
Yes, I did. There was, and it's all local rags, There was like, oh my God, was it like Coastal Edge magazine or like, I don't even remember. There were such little like black and white tabloid style magazines in Virginia Beach. So I had a lot of surf friends, and I would park myself on the beach with a big lens and shoot photos. And, I'd sometimes get out in the water with a shitty little like water housing, and try to get those shots. Those never worked out that well. But yeah, so yeah, I did.
But slightly like local type stuff. And
we had great surfing, back then. It was like, Ken Hunt and Wes Lane and some of the young East Coast rippers, even like at the time, Kelly Slater was in Florida ripping it, but he was really, really young. So I had, guys like that came through in all these ESA surf contests and stuff like that. So I had that experience.
And Grant Britton was already holding down the skate so hard. I didn't know he'd been around that long. That's
Dude,
crazy.
He has. Crazy.
His website now is like still popping, and
it's amazing.
Yeah, that guy's insane.
So I had a question. I heard there was an interesting story about how you got your first camera. Are we okay to talk about that? Or?
Well, now that my parents are dead, yeah. No, it's true. It's weird. So, I came from a, dysfunctional family, so to speak. My parents split up super young, and I was in a house kind of, as a young teenager, and my dad was like, had a couple different jobs. He was like a bookie, one of the biggest bookies in my town. He worked at a car dealership and had a bar, and it was just like, he's kind of a shady dude, like gold chains, very mafia looking. And he had a gun, and he always carried a gun. And like, he went to bed with his gun underneath his pillow. And like, I remember just one time, like hearing him have a conversation on the phone, like talking about killing himself, or we'll put a bullet in my head or something like that. And I was, cause his business wasn't doing well in one of them. And I was like, yo, that's the perfect opportunity to steal that gun and trade it for a fucking camera. So that's what I did. So I just kind of plot, like Dad, like I forget where he was. He went to work one day and the gun was underneath his pillow, and I took it. And then I remember like took a bus to Norfolk, Virginia, to this pawn shop, the shadiest fucking pawn shop you've ever seen in your life. And I remember going in there, the gun's like tucked in my waistband. And I like go in there and I'm looking at cameras, and this fucking guy that was behind the camera had like this shitty like burgundy leather coat with a one bad arm. And I remember it was kind of like a pterodactyl. It was like this. And he was sitting there and he's like, "Can I help you, man?" I was just like, "Yeah." I was like, "I'm just looking for a camera, you know?" He's like, "Oh, you know." So anyway, this guy sold me on this, I don't even know what it was, like a Fujica, some shitty camera with a regular normal 50mm lens. And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "You going to trade something? Are you going to buy it?" I was like, "Yeah, I got this to trade." And I pulled out this gun. I can't even believe I pulled it out and I put it on the counter. He's like, "Whoa." And he like takes out back. He's like, "Yeah, we can do the swap." And I'm like, "Cool." And I just took it and I left and didn't think anything of it. And that's how it started, which is crazy. And so my dad, for years, thought it was my best friend Skip. So my best friend Skip was not allowed in the house.
He thought that Skip stole the camera?
But the crazy part of all this, all full circle, like 7 years ago, way before my dad died, I took him on a trip to Vegas for a week. Oh my God. Took him to a trip. My dad, so here we are in this bedroom, 2 double beds or 2 queens, whatever, and we're getting ready to go down to breakfast. There he is sitting on the bed tying his Skechers, and shit. And I was like, "Hey, Dad, remember that gun that you used to have?" He's like, "Oh yeah, the Smith & Wesson with the lemon squeeze with the pearl handle. Yeah, that one." I was like, "Yeah," and he was like, "It's like, yes, Skip didn't take that gun." And he was like, "Sure he did. Skip's a thief. That guy took the gun." He's like, "Nah, he didn't take it." And I said, "I took it." He's like, "You got my gun?" I was like, "No, I don't have your gun." I was like, "Nah, I actually pawned it for my first camera." And dude, it was so funny. Like, stopped tying his shoes, and he looked at me like he was gonna kick the shit out of me. He was like, and then he's like, "Good for you, good for you." And I was like, man, it was like this crazy weight had been lifted from my shoulders. Weird. I never thought that I was carrying that like for so many years, but like honestly, he never mentioned it again. So I thought that was crazy that I actually got to tell him before he passed away.
Well, he was probably almost a little bit like that started this amazing career. So
I think so.
Be it. That's crazy. You can just trade a gun like that back in the day.
And I was a kid.
Yeah.
The guy was shady.
How old were you?
Man, 16.
16. You can just roll in with a gun. And
dude,
be
I
like, "What
rolled
up?"
in. I mean, yeah, that was my only experience with guns. I was a bad kid, man. I was definitely a juvenile delinquent. I mean, pretty much. I'm like lucky that, you know how everybody has a path that they go down and you choose that path? Literally, like you're like, door number 1, 2, or 3. And you choose one, you're like, I hope this is it. That's kind of what I did. I just chose the right path, thank God. But easily I could have been in prison or died or been shot. Or like, it was a bad area I grew up in and, did a lot of bad shit. Dropped out of high school, just did everything ass backwards. To this day, everything I've done, ladies and gentlemen, has been ass backwards. But it's worked out. It's like, I don't know.
No formal photography training.
I did go to photography school.
Afterwards.
That was the only thing I did right. No, yeah, I decided I wanted to learn more about darkroom shit and like how to print my own things and develop in like, photography theory and all that. And my photography teacher was a douche. I hated them. It's because we'd have like presentations and I'd bring in like shots of like fisheye hand plants and weird shit, like, skateboarding shots. And he was like, all he paid attention to was the hot chicks in class and what they were shooting. So it was like I was a loser. So yeah, man, but it was experience. It was things that I learned that I was like, once I did learn it, I didn't even finish my degree. I was like, I'm out. I'm gonna go shoot my friends. And
I heard a rumor from Pat Bridges that when you got to Killington, you were a sharpshooter that shot the people coming down the hill
was
for the
like
family,
for
the family photos or whatever.
Ski resort.
Dude, I don't know where the fuck Pat. No.
Pat's good like that.
No, I never
You
did that.
weren't.
I actually had my photo taken by one of those sharpshooters.
So you
Pat.
weren't.
No, I was Pat's fucking sharpshooter is what I was. That's what it was, Pat. Pat the Eye Bridges. Dude, the stories I got about Pat, and I love Pat. Me and Pat go way back. And like the dude, we had spent so much time together. He was on my couch, all cigarette stained fingertips and fucking smoking. Like he just kept it real no matter what. And really, honestly, took a lot of young kids underneath his wing. He was like the coach. And, and he fucking rode hard with everybody else. It didn't matter what the weather was like. Pat's out there grinding on the daily. So to me, it's funny Pat said that because, yeah, I was a sharpshooter for all us dudes. Like, I was the dude that, like, had to carry around the heavy backpack chasing these guys around the hill. But it was, dude, I would never change that shit for anything. It was so fun.
Well, we happen to have a guest question from none other than Pat Bridges. Here we go.
Hey, Gary, I'm stoked you finally made it into the bomb hole. I got 2 questions and then an activity for you to do. The first question is, what happened the first time you went to Mount Hood and you ended up burning your irises? Could you tell that story? Secondly, how many times have you been landed on by riders while shooting photos? And then the third thing isn't even a question. Can you balance the Mikey LeBlanc toboggan above E-Stone's head on your chin?
Hell
All right,
yes.
stoked to hear the episode. Take care. Bye.
Those are great. Fucking
That's a
Pat,
good
man.
selection of questions.
Great selection of questions. So I'll start with the first one. Man, Mount Hood. Love that place. Loved it. So we go out there first time not knowing what to expect and almost died in the process.
Do you know what year? Just instead of
93.
nice.
So we go out there, so excited to get, fly into freaking, Portland, get all our stuff, drive up, and like spend all day on the hill in short sleeve shirts and like whatever freaking wave rave pants or whatever it was we were wearing at the time. And like shot all day. No sunscreen, no goggles, nothing. I come, literally, for whatever reason, my eyes are killing me at the end of the day. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. All of a sudden, I have blisters on my eyes. You could see. And I still have pterygium right now because of it. But, like, we had to go to the hospital because it was that bad. Because I'm, like, burning my irises on this glacier. So the doctor's like, yeah, man, you have retinal burn or whatever. So he had to prescribe this ointment for me. We were staying at the Shamrock Hotel, which is a classic one too. I'll get to that. But so we go to the hospital. He prescribes these freaking ointment that's like thick as molasses, but it's white. And I had to put that shit in my eyes and like cover my face for completely 2 days.
Well, everyone else is up.
While
and down.
everyone's partying. Everyone's having a great time. Gary's laying up in the Shamrock all covered up. So here I am. You got all this hot women staying next to us, and like I forget what the ski team or something was like in the same hotel. I couldn't see them. I was freaking laying up with my eyes covered. So I put this goop in my eyes, laying there while hearing everybody having a good time. They're all making fun of me. I'm sure somebody probably shaved an eyebrow or did something while I was sitting there, but like it was painful. It was like sandpaper just sitting there. And it honestly, that 2 days was the greatest thing my eyes ever had. It was like I came out of there like, I feel good. Wore sunglasses, went up for the next like 5 days and shot. But it was like, that was just one story. And then, obviously we almost got killed in a freaking crevasse, during that trip too. But like, I remember that weighed heavy on a lot of guys because they saw me and that was the first time they ever saw me like not be there and because I was injured.
Dude, you just don't wear sunglasses.
Never.
Burn
I don't
out.
wear gloves either. I don't wear gloves when
I don't wear gloves either.
What was the other question that
Part
you had?
2 is being landed on.
Yes.
Fuck.
How many times?
And it's been videotaped. So I always try to get the best shots, the craziest angles, whatever. I'm looking at something, okay, this guy's, goofy or this guy's regular. I know he's going to do this trick. I got to be here. So no matter what it was, I didn't care. I'd be in that spot. I'm like, I'll get out of the way. I still do that to this day, which I'll tell you about it. So yeah, I remember like this guy, Pete Antonucci, Tribs, they used to call him.
Pete.
Used to ride for Luxury. And like, that was the first time. Petey! So he does this like, I don't even know if it must have been like a 540 or something like back in the day, which was a big deal, or a 720. I don't know what he's always spinning, grab, going into a blind. I'm right there and I see him coming at me. I just turn, board, edge to the back, cleaned me out. That was one time. I think Randy Gaetano hit me one time on K-Rock. It was just like I was always getting hit, but it was cool. I mean, luckily for me, it wasn't in a bad spot where it like did damage, but it was more like I'm gonna get the shot, whatever, I'll bounce back from it, which I still do. I'm like taking pucks. Got freaking Steven Stamkos throwing slap shots at me with like 1/8 inch plexi, breaking it. And I had to put 3 sheets in front of me every time. He's like, dude, I feel bad. I'm gonna hit you. And I've got photos of me. I look like I don't want to say it, but I look stupid. I got this crazy Jofa helmet on. I'm like, and I got my red camera, and I'm sitting there like.
I think I've seen this picture maybe
it's
recently.
Crazy,
Yeah.
but like
Respect
that
the
was
Jofa. Respect the Jofa.
Respect the. You have to, get these. Man.
Dude,
Angles
getting
are
landed
everything,
on-
and the
getting
worst
landed
part
on is gnarly though.
it is gnarly, and like there's been plenty of people that have been landed on that it didn't work out
Yeah.
so well, like Bud Fawcett and other people. Like you hear stories, so I'm thankful that it didn't end up worse than what it was.
Buds, you been landed on?
I was one time by a little kid. It was like a Sims kid shoot, and it was a C rail, and I'm trying to get the best angle, and C rail, the deposit zone basically was on my lap, and luckily it was like a 90-pound kid, but. I was like, that is never going to happen to me again.
What about Jake O.E.? You sounded
Oh,
like you were
dude, that
gonna-
was so close. Jake
You
O.E.
made
almost
this
took me
crazy
out
sound.
once.
Buzz is-
Super Park launch, too. I almost got landed on a transfer. But, yeah, after hearing about the Bud Fawcett story,
I talked to Bud about that recently, and yeah, I mean, he still kept going, man. He still kept going. And it's like a lot of the times we get put in these situations, and you kind of think about it, you're like, dude, like I might get landed on, or like I'm like this cornice that I'm underneath might give way, and we put ourselves just like the riders do. We put ourselves in these positions that could easily end in not a good way. But that's what I'm saying. Knock on steel, whatever that was. That it didn't happen that way.
yeah.
Part 3 of the question.
Oh,
Oh,
balance.
I'm definitely balancing that.
I mean, I
bitch.
can pull that thing off right now.
Let's do it.
All right, let's
Should we
talk.
go
is it-
outside and shoot
Yeah,
it on
let's
the-
go. Let's go do it.
Pat Bridges, this is some easy shit. I got this all day, but for Pat Bridges, I am now gonna balance this Mikey sled toboggan on my face. There we go, all right? And it's got some nice wax on it, too. Didn't take long. I mean, that's easy.
Yeah, that was like nothing.
I don't know. What else you got?
Where's LeBlanc? We
Pat,
get him up on there.
At Baldface, they were having me balance shit on my face. It was like everybody was wasted in the pool table. Like, balance this. Pat's like, can you grab that? I'm like, balancing everything. I don't know. I can't even balance a checkbook, but I can balance a toboggan.
All right, that was impressive with the toboggan. Nice work on that. Good question from Bridges.
Yeah.
I know we're probably going out of order here, but Bridges brought up a really good point. He said that in 98 or 99, it was maybe the first rail trip feature in a magazine ever, the Snowboarder Mag Boston Tea Party.
That's right.
Yeah, you want to walk us through that?
Yeah, that was really cool because, at the time, I was living in Boston. I had to kind of move away because I was having a baby and needed to get a real job. And so my new playground was the streets, and I wouldn't say it was new, but it was on the newer side. More people, it was happening everywhere, but that was what we were doing at the time, was like taking our skills from the slopes to, the streets and rails. So Pat knew that. Pat knew me and knew what I was doing, and just kind of was like, hey, are you interested in doing this, kind of jib rail feature in around New England, Boston? And I was like, hell yeah. And like, so I don't remember if it was Pat going, hey, we're going to shoot Eric Cavall, Brian Barb, Jeremy Bay, and Zach Diamond. And I think it was like a cumulative thing.
That was the crew.
No, but I think it was that we just kind of said, okay, here's the riders, here's what we're going to do, and let's just go have fun with it. It wasn't like we had, predetermined spots. We just kind of rolled up and just looked for spots.
Wasn't the concept you guys were taking the tea around?
It was, actually, yeah. So the Boston Tea Party is what it was. So it was weird because we wanted everybody to be there at one, how it goes. We wanted everybody to be there for that specific shot. So I think that specific shot that we got at the tee was Brian Barb, Zach Diamond, and Eric Koval, and we shot those guys, around and getting in the tee and going. But then again, Bay can only show up at one point. Muddy can only show up at one point. So we kind of just pieced it all together. So it wasn't perfect, but it was fun as shit. We had Muddy freaking doing grinds down the State House building in Boston. I mean, it's unheard of. You couldn't do that shit nowadays. I mean, we obviously hopped the fence and did all that. And, it was a bunch of different places in Boston that we had hit. But it was cool because it was like, again, shooting film, trying to strobe it here or there in a way that was like quick and easy, which that wasn't the case always. So we got kicked out of a lot of places, but it was cool because we hadn't really seen it too much before. So we didn't really know, I didn't say what we were doing, but we just took a lot of risk and it was a lot of fun. So,
was it like the first street feature?
That's what Bridges said.
It was. Funny thing, Pat's first written article was my first photo published. Yeah, for Transworld. It's pretty fun. That was Pat told me that. I didn't even realize that at the time. But then it was like, that came out, and I think it was pretty big. And then I think after that, I went to D.C. the Blizzard in '96, and I shot that, and that was just epic because the government had shut down. So I remember calling, I think it was called Miller, and I was like, we got to go to D.C. We can go, they got Blizzard in '96, they have so much snow, they freaking shut down, no one's going to be there, we'll just go have, it's like, someone's going to be there. I was like, no, I have a feeling. So, we just got this crew together, rode in his truck. I mean, I was laying in the back seat or in his bed of his truck the whole way there, and we're freezing our asses off. It felt like it was 10 years before we got there. But we got there, and we had the whole place to ourselves. It was crazy.
Seth Miller,
Eric Rabine,
Jeff
Billow. Yeah, the three of those guys. Brush was gonna go, and last minute he bailed, and I was so looking forward to that.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and talk about Palisades. One iconic destination, 2 mountains, now connected by the base-to-base gondola. We got 44 lifts, 8 mountain peaks, and 6,000 acres of legendary terrain set in beautiful Lake Tahoe. Welcome to Palisades. Iconic since the beginning, the mountain playground inspires progression and creates world-class athletes.
Legendary riders have created countless video parts within this resort. Riders like Noah Selaznick, Jeremy Jones, Chris Roach, and many more. The Spring Park is the spot for sunny laps overlooking Lake Tahoe. Palisades Tahoe has been open to July 4th in past years, and this year the snow is stacking up.
It's where dreams start and memories are made. Discover for yourself what legendary looks like. Palisades Tahoe. We're going to take a quick break and talk about Bubs Naturals Stony Buds. You know they make the best collagen, but did you know they're making coffee, buds?
Yep, Bubs Brew, the original blend. It's USDA organic, fair trade. Also, it's first ever coffee bean to be Whole30 approved, Chris.
The Bubs Natural namesake derives from Glenn Bub Doherty, who was heroically killed in Benghazi, Libya in 2012. Bubs Naturals, a way of life, believe wellness is driven from the inside out. Through the spirit of Glenn and a passion for nature's highest quality and sustainably sourced ingredients, we help fuel people to reach their maximum human potential while giving 10% back to charity. Their mission is simple: feel great, do good. Head over to bubsnaturals.com and use promo code BOMBHOLE for 20% off your order, Stony Buds.
20% off once again. bubsnatural.com, promo code BOMBHOLE.
Dun, 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 dun.
It's murder. You ever hit a smelling salt?
This rap shit is not a game. I've actually never hit a smelling salt. So, am I like?
You just
It'll
squeeze
clear
it.
that sinus right
Squeeze
out.
it.
You squeeze it, it'll turn red.
Oh,
And
Now
now you
just
sniff
ease it up to your nose.
Easy. Not,
goddamn, that's delicious. That is the. Oh, love it. I like it. That shit is beautiful. I just want to kind of keep it up there. I feel energetic. I don't know what it is. Like, I'm ready to go shred right now. Thanks for that. My eyes are watering.
you hit that one nicely, too.
That was great. Wow. What's the red shit?
That's like the activation right there.
You know, it's funny. Like, I need this when I play hockey, actually.
You know where you can get it? Run Through a Wall smelling salts are available at bombhole.com.
Well, damn it, I'm going there and getting some.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
You ever seen the footage of the hockey players just going ham on it?
I have,
Yeah,
and I
and then
just
they
like,
run
didn't
out
know what
there.
it was like,
Yeah.
but now that I do, I'm actually buying a
Yeah.
bottle. No, it's weird. When I play, so I'm gonna call it. Red Bull gives me free. Thank you, Red Bull. Gives me free cases of Red Bull. You know, I've got some friends in some high places, but anyway. So I only drink it when I play hockey, like one before a game, and it's usually the sugar-free versions. And I swear to God, it really works. But my wife's like, "You're gonna die on the. You need to get a defibrillator out there because your heart's gonna blow up." I'm like, "No, it's fine, you know." But this, she don't know anything about this. I get to do this.
Well, if you get named that video part right, you got one in your prize pack.
Yeah.
I
so
definitely
that
won't
could be
name the
huge.
video part right. That's the worst. I'm the worst.
You know, it's a good wormhole to go down. I think. You know, talking about early days shooting film. You're talking about the black rooms. What are they? Dark rooms.
Dark rooms. Yeah.
How has it changed from shooting film now to shooting digital? Let's go down that wormhole.
Man, everything has changed. I think it was harder back then because you couldn't see. You know, you'd hear the click of your shutter. You'd actually know your settings, and you worked at knowing, you know, how, do I need to overexpose here or underexpose there? You know, I didn't have a light meter at the time earlier on, so I used the back of my hand and that was the closest thing to middle gray that I could, you know, find. You know, and that was all by learning, by getting your film back and processing it, and you see, oh shit, it's dark or it's light, and then you had to work through it. But I will say, and I talked so much shit when digital first came out because I'm like, it was cheating, but I gotta say, I love cheating. Like, it's so good now. Like, cameras are insane. And to be able to, like, take some images and look at the back of it and share it with the person that you're shooting and getting them hyped, that is what it's all about. The only problem is, you know, shooting for major brands is that they expect everything now. So you shoot stuff, I got to deliver a hard drive full of, you know, captures, both motion and stills, and nobody wants to wait for anything anymore. So I think that part of it, like the anticipation and the excitement of what is it going to be like, you know, it's like you get it now, so there's no waiting. So there's good and bad to that. I appreciate it as a photographer because I have more assets. I kind of look back and I'm like, man, if I only had digital back in the day, I would have gotten so many more shots. Like, I remember the bus trip 68 or less that we took to Mount Hood from Rutland, Vermont. Dude, I saved all my film for the hill because I only had like a certain amount, so I didn't shoot any of the trip. What a loser. That was what we were dealt with. I was a poor kid trying to shoot my friend snowboarding or wanting to make sure I saved the film there, you know, and that was just what we had to deal with.
You didn't have a light meter?
Not early on.
Yeah.
And then I did. Cameras got better too.
Yeah.
So
did you have like I remember when I was shooting film, I'd have like almost a notebook with a cheat sheet on what films did what and how to.
That's dope.
Did you ever do that? Like, which
didn't-
one's the cross process?
I wasn't that good. I didn't.
Wasn't that
No,
good.
I mean, I didn't do that. And it's so weird. I feel bad too because like I didn't. People would always say, "Who's your favorite photographer? I just never gave. I never.
You just wanted to
cared.
shoot
It
the
was weird.
snowboarding
I don't know why. I should have. I just didn't. I just kind of like did what worked for me. And, you know, I'd hear somebody go, "Oh, man, that Kodachrome 200's badass." I'm like, all right, I'll try some Kodachrome 200. It was that type of thing. And then I always I remember John Foster sent me a brick of Velvia when he was the photo editor at Transworld. Sent me a brick of Velvia, and that changed my life. Like making the East Coast look like it was the West Coast was so exciting.
The colors popping.
Dude, everything, the blues
Yeah,
and
the
like
blues.
all that shit was so good, you know? Like it was just, you know, and it's weird. I'll get into that, but like the East Coast and West Coast, like there was no beef there. It was just the East Coast wanted to be the West Coast. Like the East Coast was like, I wanted the blue skies and the big drops and like the powder and like, but just because I didn't have that wasn't going to deter me from riding. We dealt with what we dealt with, but they fucking hated us. They hated us. Like the mountains hated us. And I don't know I'm sure you guys got that too. I'm sure you guys got that, you know, in the West Coast. I mean, you're East Coasters, both of you guys are. You know what it was like, you know. But I love it when I looking back and look at some old photos and it's all gray and gross and, you know, death cookies everywhere and we didn't have all that, you know. So me to look at photos like from Bud or like any of these people like Cassimus or John Foster of like these amazing, you know, shots of people just killing it in like the most beautiful, you know, picturesque, you know, places is just so dope for me. Like that.
I never think about the East Coast pretty much is just gray all,
Yeah.
the whole winter.
Flat, gray, icy.
It really is. I didn't even think about that.
Really, it is.
The classic Utah is like we get a storm and you know it's going to be sunny for 3 days after.
And that's great because, you know, it makes photos. You know, you could shoot at a better aperture. You know what I mean? You
The
shoot at
blue
effort.
we have here for a sky is like
Insane.
nowhere else except maybe Mount Hood gets it. But
Yep.
I have a Patreon question from James Crosby. And he says, as an influential photographer with a career spanning a wide range of technological changes, what are some of the photography fundamentals that you recommend media artists today stay sharp on?
Can you repeat that one? I was just thinking about how much I wanted to hit that again. What was it?
All right, this is from James Crosby. As an influential photographer with a career spanning a wide range of technological changes, what are some of the photography fundamentals that you recommend media artists stay sharp on?
Man, I can't recommend shit. No, I mean, like, you know, I think everybody wants someone to give them a piece of advice on how to, you know, what can I do that I'm not already doing? Or like, how do I, and all I got to say is just keep shooting, make the mistakes. To me, it's embrace the imperfections. I'm always trying to fuck up my photos. Like I have certain things that I do. Like I call it, it's a kit, you know, and I always tell my assistants, you got the kit? And they're like, I got the kit. And the kit is, I'll put Scotch tape in front of my lenses. I have different types of fishing line, and I'll color it, you know, different colors, and I'll put that over and I tape them in different spots. And what happens is like the sunlight will hit that and cause interesting refractions that'll do cool shit. Like I do things like that. I'll mess around. I'll fucking light through fish tanks, colored gels and weird things. I'm always experimenting. I'm a mad scientist when it comes to photography. So like never. You can go into a situation and you can bring your camera and you can shoot it as is, but what can you do that's going to be different? What do you do that's going to be different? Like I said, don't worry about what you think people want you to shoot. Do something that's going to be different for you and have fun with it. Treat photography as, you know, experimenting is super key. So does it have to be sharp? Fuck no, it doesn't have to be sharp. Mess around with shutter curtain drag, blur it, fucking shoot it I do like shooting things long lens, 15th of a second, and just try to pan with a person, and then part of that person's going to be in focus. That stuff's beautiful. And don't, you know, critics are out there, and they're going to criticize your shit. Dude, if you like it, that's all that matters.
True. What that really works with a fishing line.
Mm-hmm.
Never tried that. That's
yeah,
crazy.
it's like fishing line, Scotch tape. I use a lot of crystals, different things. Water bottle. I'll take an old water bottle and I'll crunch it up, and then I'll take the thing off of it and I'll shoot part through that. And definitely, the longer the glass that you use, the better that freaking kind of like it almost kind of tilt shifts it a little bit.
Yeah.
So that stuff's fun for me because it draws you into what it is that you want to actually capture. I love shooting through things, like shooting through trees and a subject. And like I feel like there's so many photographers, including yourself, that do that. Like Blotto does that really well. And like you look at different things in a different light. Like sometimes it's not about, back in the day, we'd be on the deck of a pipe with a fish island, and you're like shooting waves. It's a great guy in the sky. And there was a learning process. That's what we had to figure out. And like one of the prime moments for me that I realized that changed things was I was a U.S. Open year. It was like, I don't remember the year. It sucks. I think it was like 96. And that was the year of the cage. Wasn't that 96? Yeah. And then, so I was on the deck of the pipe, but so many people were shooting. It was insane. Like at that point, I was getting a lot of people like interested in it. So like where the deck used to be, like you'd have a couple photographers every 20 feet away, and you could almost touch the guy in front of you. It got to the point where like they were now putting you in a box to shoot. So I remember getting there a little bit late at a VIP pass, but it was like, yeah, there's the shooting pit right there. You can stay in there. And I'm like, what? And I'm just sitting there with all these other photographers. I got really upset. And I remember leaving like, this is bullshit. I'm getting the same shots everybody else is getting. And I was like, I'm not interested anymore. At this point, I knew I was having a kid. It was just like, I'm done. I'm like leaving. So I went down, down the pipe past the mushroom hut. And I remember looking back up. And I remember hearing people screaming because it was Terriers on. And I was like, oh shit. And I looked up and I was like, that's pretty rad from here because I see the whole crowd. And then I remember Mike Hofer used to be the Arnett rep. Good dude. Like he had the Arnett van pulled up at the very bottom behind the mushroom hut, and he was throwing frisbees and shit off that. So I was like, hey, Mike, can I get on top of the van and just see what that looks like? He goes, yeah, Gary, come on up. So I get up there, and I'm looking, and just this vantage point that I would have never seen before. It was weird, and I was like, oh, dude, this is epic. And I remember getting there, and I just set up with this, longer lens, and brush drops in. And that's when he did that big trail, and I just shot that. And I just remember, I knew it. Like, obviously, you can't look at the back of your camera, but I'm like, oh, my God, if that looks anything like it looks in person, that's going to be such a great shot. And that's how that shot was created. And even though I turned a bad situation into a good, that was just special to me. So, yeah, I mean, it's experimenting, man. It's just like sometimes you get put into situations where you think it's going to be the end and it ends up being the beginning.
Lucky for certain people, but we're going to have that photo available at thebombhole.com, and it is an amazing photo.
Good thing, if I'm hearing it correct, too, and I want to pick your brain on this, looking at the world of videography, photography, in snowboarding and skating, and we all just tend to copy each other, right? Whether you're a rider, photographer, tricks, and it seems like what I'm hearing is your kind of individuality and your authenticity kind of is the superpower in that of just doing things your own way.
I mean, sure. I mean, yeah, it's part of it, and I never really think about things too much. I just kind of do them, which could be either a good thing or a bad thing. But I think it helps. I think personality helps, Like, I always used to people giving me shit because I was always the guy going, yeah, they could do. I just get so excited, and I never really thought about it. It was just I was excited, I was shooting my heroes, So, but I think, yeah, it's like to be different, to do things differently is good, but you don't want to put yourself in a box either, because if you do something so differently and that's all you do, and then you become that guy that just does that. So I never wanted to be that guy, and I remember I used to get criticized for it a lot. Even the early days of me starting to work for Reebok, and I wanted to impress the CMO, so I brought my portfolio in, which I was just super kind of I was stoked on, and I was like, yeah, this is rad shit, and I brought my book in, and the dude was literally flipping through the pages, and I was like, oh, that one's a good. Oh. And he just kept going. He finished it, and he was just like, "Is that all you have?" I'm like,
threw it over his shoulder, basically.
Yeah, it's just kind of it was a very humbling experience, but I don't know. I just, I feel like my personality of, being able to kind of go walk into a room, no matter who was in it, and just make people feel comfortable. I think that is what makes me successful at what I do, and still just being the same dude I was back then. I think, and because I hear it all the time, it's not that I know that. It's just I just haven't changed. I'm just still a bro. I'm still that dude. I'll DM somebody. I was just shooting a New Balance commercial just the other day in Phoenix, and I was like, I wonder who, dude. I want to shoot somebody. I want to go spend 2 hours shooting a skater here. I DM'd this guy Trey Wood on Insta.
I know Trey.
Yeah, that I follow, and I'm like, yo, I'm in town. You want to link up? Let's link up. And that's what it was.
And you knew him before or no?
No,
you
I just know he was sick.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to work with that guy. So that, to me, that is so brilliant. And thank God for the internet and for social media, because I did that, and we had a great experience. And now we're friends, and we hang out. And I met a couple other guys there, J-Mod, a couple other guys are really, really good skaters. And but that was relieving for me. That was my own personal stuff. So I do things like that a lot.
I want to transition. You mentioned, because you kind of at one point transitioned from shooting snowboarding and started shooting Reebok.
Yeah.
You want to walk us through that?
Yeah. So when I went from snowboarding, I went from there to Solomon, or to Generics. Sorry, I worked for Generics first, which was really cool. Got to be a customer service manager and a photographer there, and then they went out of business, and then I got a job at Solomon, and I was their photographer, shooting both skiers and snowboarders. Did that for a year. They moved to Portland, Oregon, and then I was looking for a job, and I saw a position at Reebok, and it was managing all their database, all the photos and image libraries and stuff, because this was still pre-digital. So it was basically managing their archives for print, creating a database that the international markets could access to be able to use for publications, advertisements, and all that stuff. So that was my job. So I fell into that role. And again, wanted to be a photographer, wanted for them to look at me through that lens of being that person that could help them shoot photos, but they just weren't having it, And then one time they had asked me if I wanted to go on a shoot with this superstar player they had, Allan Iverson, and I knew who he was because I grew up in Virginia Beach. So this was they wanted me to go there just to watch how a real photo shoot was going to take place with this professional New Yorker photographer. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to go. So I fucking had my little like Pentax K1000 or something at the time. I don't know what it was, a couple rolls of Tri-X, and I like had it in my backpack, and I showed up to the shoot. And I was just like a kid in a candy store. I'm like, when is he going to come out? When is he going to be here? When is he going to be here? And I heard on a walkie, like, I think his limo's pulling up. I run down the back staircase all the way down there, like trying to get my camera out at the same time. And I threw on this like super wide lens, it was like a 20 or something. And like I ran out the back door as he's getting out, and I walk up to him and I just point the camera in his face, and he was just kind of like put his fists up like this, like looking at me. And I just took this iconic photo, one-shot photo, and it was like we just made that connection there. Like he knew I wasn't, I knew who he was, and I didn't care. So it was like I saw him then, and then I got a couple other shots of him behind the scenes that Reebok ended up using for a Rolling Stone ad. And I mean, there's a bigger story to that, and I don't want to go into it, but like it's just like these opportunities that kind of unfolded in front of themselves with a superstar player like Allan Iverson, and the connection that we had with I growing up in Virginia Beach, and he just trusted me. Like, and then that was crazy. So I'll get to the long story short. I'm like, I printed up in my darkroom in my freaking closet, makeshift closet, a couple prints, some 8x10s that I had shot of Allan on the set, and I had them in my cube. I come in the next day after the first day of having them up, and they're all gone. I'm like, dude, someone fucking stole my prints. So I'm like, kind of like, I don't know who to ask people. I'm like, I don't know. So I remember sitting there, half the day's gone by, and I get this, conference call, and I pick up the phone. It's like, hey, I forget the hell his name was. The president wants to see you in our office. And she was like a tyrant, like super mean. I was like, oh my God, I've never even met her. Barbara, whatever her name was. So anyway, I go into her office all freaking, hi. She's like, oh, come and sit down. And she like throws this manila envelope, on the table, and she's like, and she just looks at me, and I was like, I'm gonna look at it, and she was like, those yours? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, how did you get those? And I told her, and she's like, can I use them? I was like, sure. And next thing I know, they're in Rolling Stone. And then next thing I know, I'm like, get Gary to shoot it, get Gary to shoot it, get Gary to shoot it. So I ended up shooting Allan Iverson a couple more times, and then it's like he said, I only want to shoot with that guy.
Damn.
So that kind of started everything, And they weren't paying me shit, but the opportunities that I was getting was just, it just started with him and ended in shooting pretty much everybody under the sun that was anybody, in sports and music.
And you were sent there, though, to learn how to shoot at a normal shoot?
I was sent there to see how it goes down, so I could see the process
Yeah.
to understand how it was to create an image. And I was like, blow this, whatever. I'm going to go shoot,
Yeah.
I mean, it was cool to see because it was like heavy-duty strobe set and people everywhere.
Super
and the
technical.
photographer yelling at everybody. And I was like, yeah, I mean, the guy's still actually an active shooter, so I don't even want to mention his name.
Yeah, I was wondering,
poached his shoot. No, he's still a shooter.
Well, I was wondering how did he even like give you the time of day?
No, hell no. He
Yeah.
kicked me off his set. He didn't want me shooting anything. So the funny thing is, so I pulled my camera out on set when Allan was there. Okay, and this guy had like freaking all the biggest Speedotron packs, Hasselblad, and I was like, well, this is, pretty badass. And then I had my camera and I pulled it out of my backpack, and he like said to somebody, like, tell that guy to get the hell out of here. He can't have his camera in here. So then I go outside. I was forced to go outside. And as I'm out there, I see this guy pacing the hallways, and I noticed that there's this rock climbing wall. This was at the Reebok City Gym in New York City. It's like big, huge, cool complex, basketball courts, rock climbing walls, gyms, tennis courts. So there's this rock climbing wall, and there's a little like 12 by seamless, or even not, it was like a 9 by seamless setup with like some duvet all around it. It's like this little like cove, and this guy pacing back and forth on the phone. And I hear him talking. It was like a GQ photographer, and he was trying to get, or Esquire, was trying to get Allan Iverson, like, because he heard he was in town, to try to get him for a little quick shots for the magazine. So I'm like paying attention. I'm hearing him, and you know me, I'm a gangster. I'm a little hustler from the streets. So I'm like, all right, how am I going to flip this shit? So I heard him. I was like, hey man, are you trying to get Allan in here? Huh? He's like, yeah, I don't know if he's gonna come. So like, all right, I'm gonna see what I can do. And I go back, and I was just kind of like, just go back in the other room to pretend like I was going to talk to somebody. And I overheard his agent saying, yeah, we're gonna go over there and do this Esquire shoot after the fact. So I come back out, and I'm like, tell you what, man, if I can get him in here, you're gonna let me shoot some. I'm gonna shoot behind the scenes. I got a little point and shoot bullshit camera. I'm gonna shoot some behind the scenes, over your shoulder. Just coming back. He's like, yeah, man, you get out here, you do whatever the fuck you want. True story. So those were the images that I took. And it was Allan, no shirt, all his jewels on, just kind of posing. And those were the shots that I took one roll of Tri-X that I developed that ended up starting my just everything that I know from Reebok, just like that. The shots were so epic. You know, the guy lit it well, and then it was just a freaking avalanche of just work after that.
You're just over this dude's shoulder, too.
That's it. Poached, fucking completely poached.
That is
Also
incredible.
incredible time in Allan Iverson's career, I'd imagine. Just
100%.
signing with Reebok, just coming on the scene, like just massive, right?
It really was, you know, and he got to a point where I shot him so much. I feel like I was shooting him every other week, and like he would get to the point, bring me the photos, man, bring me the photos. You know, like every time I shot him, he wanted me to print photos and bring them to him, so I always had to do that. And I still talk to him to this day. He'll text me like, "Yo, hey, send me some photos," you know, or like, and but it was such a magical time. Went to a lot of games. I got to sit on the floor. I got to shoot that, and then I met other. I mean, it was just like honestly the amount of players from Paul Pierce to Kevin Garnett to Steve Francis to just the list goes on and on and on of people that I had to shoot. And you know, at the time, Reebok they didn't have an in-house photographer. It was this job that in-house photography for brands didn't exist. So I kind of like made it up as I went along, and it was fun, man, because it was like they had so many assets. That RBK happened, and then like, dude, it was like everyone, Nelly, Jay-Z, 50 Cent, you know, Ja Rule. I mean, like everyone. Like,
Yeah, how did you break into from the athletes to the
Because
to
I
the
was
rappers?
because I was the dude shooting everything. They
Yeah.
were like they didn't want to pay for some other photographer to shoot him, so like send Gary to shoot him, send Gary to shoot him, rock him. Like it just goes on and on and on. So I'm on the road 5 days a week shooting all these guys, you know, and I just got thrown to the wolves. And you know what? You know me and my personality. I'm a talkative person. I make people feel comfortable. So that's what I did.
They're like, let's send Gary to Compton.
100%, dude. Yeah, all the time.
There's a bunch of machine guns on the set.
We got
Oh man, that shot.
we got a guest question from Zeb Powell. Here we go.
Hey, yo, what's good, crew? Down at the bomb hole. Zeb Powell here. Just wanted to check in and hi, you guys. Give Gary a guest question or two. First one would be, what's good with 50 Cent's dog? Second one would be, kind of more inspo thing. I think something you told me that really resonated with me was like, how you really got into photography, like how you kind of got your first big break. I know it was kind of like unofficial, but you made it official yourself, more or less. So give us some insight on that, because I think I really resonate with that, and it's kind of how I weave my way into the snowboard scene, kind of. So let us know.
Word. He's such a good dude, man. Big fan. Love that kid so much. Like, he's just such a good guy. Like, everybody around him. So it's funny. So I got to shoot a lot with 50, like, for a lot. Like, I probably shot him 30 times. And it got to the point where we were really close. And, you know, I would shoot him, and he'd have his big-ass trailer. And he would, yo, come hang out, man. And I'm like the minority on the shoot. I mean, meaning that I'm a low man on the totem pole. And like he wouldn't invite he wouldn't invite anybody, but he would let me in for whatever reason. Chris Lighty, his manager, hated me because of it. 50 would come in.
Because you could get in.
I was honestly, I was in it. I was in this. I knew everything. I was cool with his music. I was cool with the scene. I knew what was going on, and like he just felt that about me. So I'd go in there. We'd just talk shit, and we'd laugh. We'd smoke weed. We'd do whatever. We'd just hang out. I wouldn't say smoke so much weed with him. I didn't say that with him now. But no, we had a good time, and like, so I got hired to shoot the vitamin water campaign with 50 Cent when he had done Formula 50 when that came out, and that was when when vitamin water didn't go public yet. So we shot all this cool black and white, you know, photography on RZ, Mamiya RZ camera at his house in Farmington, Connecticut. And one of the shots was him in a robe with his slippers, you know, carrying his little dog, getting the paper off his porch with these two samurai warrior statues. It was a really dope-ass shot. It was very Scarface-like. So Soldier was a little Jack Russell Terrier, a little white Jack Russell Terrier, cute as hell, little puppy, and he had this dope diamond brooch with a cross on it. It was all diamonds, like probably worth $150,000 or something. So we were waiting to set up that shot. I'm holding Soldier, 50's upstairs getting changed, and he comes down the staircase. He's like, yo, G, you like my dog? I was like, yeah, man, Soldier's dope. I love Soldier. He's like, you can have him. I was like, "No, I don't want your dog, man. I'm cool." No, you're gonna have my dog. I'm like, I'm good. My wife, Gary, you got a family, man. He used to come through. He put his arm on me. He's like, "You got a family, man. You know, soldier needs a home. Like, I'm on the road all the time. You know." I was like, all right, I'll take him. I was like, do I get to keep the necklace? He was like, get the hell out of here. It was so good. That's all I thought about. I was like, does it come with the collar? So anyway, he gave me his dog. And then like with the birth certificate that had Curtis Jackson on it, like everything. I was like, this is rad. So I took him home, and he bit everyone in my house the first hour.
Oh.
So I ended up giving him to my sister-in-law, who had an A-frame up at Killington. That dog lived out its life at Killington as a little snow dog. And, like, you know, he died peacefully. But, like, I remember seeing 50 years later, and he was like, yo, man, whatever happened to Soldier? I was like, oh, dude, Soldier lived his life in Vermont. Like, my sister took him, and great dog, lived a long life. He's like, what? He was like, you didn't sell him? I was like, what?
That's why he put his name on him, huh?
He was like, dude, you could have sold that dog for, like, 50 G's. And I'm like, what? All right, man. Well, no, I didn't. I was just trying to be the good guy. But anyway, that was a cool time where he just, you know, so I had 50 Cent's dog, and, you know, so I have shots of him and with him, and that was a cool moment.
So he thought you were going to go sell him.
He assumed I was going to sell him.
That's why he gave you the birth certificate. I was thinking, right, you put that on eBay.
Yeah, he gave me
Woo!
He gave me the, you know, it's funny because the house that he was in Farmington, Connecticut used to be Mike Tyson's house and Robin Givens. So they had that house together. So 50 bought it for a really good deal. But 50 kept Mike Tyson's, like, house manager there. Was his name Dave? And Dave was this old man and, like, did everything around the house, right? So when I had to go the next morning, I picked up Soldier because we were staying in a hotel. I come there, picked up Soldier, and Dave's crying. Like, I'm missing the dog. Oh, Soldier. I'm like, no, Dave, you can have. I mean, seriously, you can have him, Dave. No, you have him. Like, I pictured the guy laughing as I drove away because the Soldier was crazy, dude. Bit everybody.
It's crazy,
like, nuts. But yeah, that was a good one. That's
so
a good
G
story.
unit is not Gorilla Unit, it's Gary Unit.
G
It's
unit?
kind of what I'm trying to understand here.
G stands for Gary. Yes, that's a fact.
We all figured it out.
50, we had this crazy connection, but it was funny. I had this one assistant that worked for me, and that assistant was like always like trying to take behind the scenes when I'd go shoot 50, and 50 loved to fuck with him. Like, it would be like, fucker. He'd be like shooting shots. He'd be like, and the guy was like, oh! And he was like, 50 doesn't like me. It's like, dude, you're just like dogs know dogs, and you ain't a dog. Like, it was just like.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It just was so funny. Like, he just, you know, but that's the kind of guy he was, and I appreciated that about him so much. And it's funny, I haven't talked to him in years. I'd love to.
Guys like that, yeah, they can sniff out
really can.
certain people.
Yeah, I mean, I have so many of those stories. That's what's so weird. It's funny because people like that don't know me are like, are you making that shit up? Like, what? That really happened? I'm like, it really actually happened. It's like the Lil Wayne stories, all these crazy stories. I have so many stories like that.
Well, I want to hear Lil Wayne's story while we're at it.
Lil Wayne. So one of my jobs was to go shoot the Hot Boys when they were filming. Woo. They were filming this video, I Got the Fire.
Woo!
Yeah, it was a dope. It was in the Magnolia Projects.
05, 03?
Yeah, 05, I think.
05, yeah.
So it was the Hot Boys, Juvie, Turk, BG, Birdman, all those guys. And
give him an air horn.
Yeah.
Let's get a Lil Wayne there.
So we're in the Magnolia Projects, and just to set the stage, this is like one of the hardest like projects in the country at the time. And like I didn't care. I was like, whatever. So we pull up. We're in a white van with no windows except for the passenger driver and windshield, right? And I had my buddy Linwood Harper. He was a video guy. I was the still guy. This was Allan Iverson's cousin. So he's in the front seat. And as we're driving through the projects to get to the shoot, people are like, I'm watching people diving off their stoops. Like, what are they doing? They're like diving. People are just diving as we're driving by. I'm like, what? He's like, yo, they think this is a drive-by.
Oh, shit.
It was a drive-by shooting, but we were shooting film. So like they were just jumping off. Like what? And like the guy driving, take your camera, put your camera back in the truck. So we get there, we pull. As soon as we pull up, I see Lil Wayne with his brand new SLK, canary yellow SLK, and like I go, oh shit, there he is, Lil Wayne. So I get my camera, and I was like a fisheye, I think, and I think I'd had it on from a previous thing I just did. And I jumped out just like I did with Allan Iverson. I walked up to him like. We were best friends. I had never met him. And I just pointed my camera's face. He was like, So good.
Such a sick photo.
Because I knew I was going to get something. Either look at me like, motherfucker, or something, but I knew it was going to be good. Whatever. Smacking me, I don't give what he was going to do.
Yeah.
I knew that he didn't know me, and I'm going to put a camera's face, and he was going to react.
And he's like 16, right?
Yeah, he was 16. And he just gave me the middle finger, and then, like, it was on. Then we had so much fun, and then we shot that video. I shot all the stills of those guys on the rooftops and, like, pyrotechnics going
Oh, I
on.
remember that video.
So good. Yeah. It was a really good video, but, like, shot a bunch of stills from that. It was all film, and then ended up playing basketball during lunch against this drunk dude, and there was all these police around. This is a funny one. So I'm playing against this guy, and I was a pretty good basketball player at that point, and, like, beating this dude severely in, like, 21. And the dude was like, you need to let him win. I was like, no. He's like, no, you don't want to beat this guy. And sure enough, I ended up letting him, found out that guy was like one of the hardest dudes in the whole place. He probably would have shanked me or something if I would have won. Because he was drunk, you know. But we didn't, those are the things, like, I didn't care. I was there. I did not feel awkward at all being in a place like that. This, you know, young white kid from Virginia Beach now getting thrown into some of the dangerous places, you know, on the planet, really, at the time. But, like, I felt at home. It was weird.
You can't act scared. They'll sniff it out, though, right?
100%.
Yeah, that's what'll create.
But it wasn't even like I was pretending to not be. But one of the guys I was with was like, oh my God. It's just, you just feel it. Like, like, Mike, you need to chill.
You need to go sit in the van, bro.
Yeah, because, like, some people, you could just see it on them, you know?
Yeah.
But it was just all part of the deal. Like, that was fun. I shot Lil Wayne a couple times after that, but it's just, you know, every experience that I have, it's, you know, it's right here. But, like, I don't know.
Well, we got you. I got to get right to the chase.
Yeah, get right to it.
I got to get right to it. TB12 Tom Brady.
Oh, man.
You shot the man
My
in
dog.
the arena. He's your boy.
Yep.
Just give me some nuggets here. I need some Brady nuggets to get me through the day.
So the first time I was around Brady, so I'm good friends with Lonnie Paxson. Lonnie Paxson was a long snapper for the Patriots. Really good dude. Super solid guy.
Give him an air horn.
So Lonnie invites me to this party in Boston, and you know, Lonnie was like, yo, you know, Tom's going to be there, yada, yada, yada. So I see Tom, and I met him for the first time, and he was not the nicest guy. Kind of gave me a cold shoulder a little bit. It was just like, which I would too. Like, who the fuck is this guy? So that was my first meeting with Tom, so it was all cool. And you know, Lonnie was all like, yeah, you know, whatever, it's all good. And I ended up getting, so Tom, I ended up shooting a couple times. I shot him for Under Armour. It was actually at the Raymond James Stadium when I never shot him at the Patriots. This is the craziest part. I'm a Patriots fan. I live in Boston. I live minutes away from Gillette, right? So I always want to shoot Tom. Shot everybody else for Under Armour. Three times they had asked me to shoot him, and I was already booked on another job. It killed me. I'm like, dude, couldn't do it. Just for whatever reason. That's the story of our lives. It was the highlight of my career. I'm always like, 1 week I'm here or there. Just couldn't line up on dates. 3 times. So one time it worked, and that's during the freaking pandemic. He was going, you know, he was at, you know, Tampa Bay, and our company, one of my companies, Convoy, had conceived this whole idea. We produced it with GLP and then shot it, which was great. It was a really cool time. Very minimal crew. I mean, it was the height of the pandemic. So we go to Raymond James Stadium, prepping, you know, knew all our shots, had it all blocked out. Tom shows up in this badass Ford 150, like Raptor, like customed out to the nines, like pulls up, backs in, gets out, no mask. Everyone's in mask. He's like, what's up, guys? Whatever, pounds out with everybody. I'm like, take the mask off. I'm like, I'm getting COVID. I'm getting it from Tom Brady. I mean, no doubt. Yeah. And I don't think anybody else did. They were like, oh, you know, like, I'm like, yo, bro, you know, like, good to see you. And he was like, this is the first time I've actually been here. I was like, what? Like, he'd never been to the stadium. It's the first time. So he's just a good dude, man. He showed up by himself, did everything we asked him to do. But it was really funny. One of the things that, like, kind of stands out to me was, like, when you shoot guys like this, they don't know shit about lighting, cameras, and that stuff. So I'm shooting Tom in this one scene, and he's like, hey, Gary, can we shift the key light to the other side? I was like... Then I'm like, is that Giselle talking? He was like, yeah. I was like, all right, yeah, no problem, man. And we did, and he was completely right. That was the better side for him. But I appreciated that about a guy who, like, he thought about it and he just said it. And, like, I'm going to, of course, do what he wants to do. But, I mean, those shots were great. And then I got hired by ESPN to shoot all the stills for the man in the arena. And, I mean, it's a good one. It's a good story for this. So it's through Disney, through ESPN. Good friends of mine, Nick Galick, who's he's a photo editor over there at ESPN. We've done some shots. I did the Chris Paul body issue with him and stuff, and then he had hired me to do Tom Brady. So we're there, and the whole idea was Tom was going to wear this kind of murdered out like black outfit, no like colors or anything. And that was the only thing they had. There wasn't any alt uniforms or alt outfits. It was just that. So we had set up everything. We're in a stage in New York City. Tom comes in with his crew, bigger crew this time. It was like crazy. I was like, oh shit, Tom's rolling deep. You know what I mean? And so they bring him into this room. They had this meeting. I'm out here, being the director, photographer, and then I've got my crew, and we're all still setting up stuff. And they like, Gary, you got to come here. And they call me over, and I'm like, what's going on? They're like, he doesn't want to wear the outfit. You have to talk to him. I'm like, I got to talk to him? They're like, yeah, you got to talk to him. Like, you're friends with him. You got to, like I'm best friends with Tom. Like, I said, all right, I'll go talk to him. So I go into this room, and it's like they're following me in. We're talking like execs and everything. They're following me in, and they're like, Tom's like, all right, Gary, what are we doing here? What are we doing? And I was like, Tom, listen. It's like, this is going to be great. It's going to be great. Like, yeah, they got me on the black. I'm like, Tom, are you really defined by a number or a color? He's like, Gary, why are you always trying to make me look like Batman? I was like, Tom, if there's anybody on this planet that's Batman, it's you. And he just was like, all right. But that's the kind of guy you wanted just clarity. What are we doing? I'm like, you know what, man, we want this to be a little, we're playing, it's fantasy, right? We're having, we're being creative. We're thinking outside the box. It doesn't have to always be so, black and white. But he appreciated that. And then the shots were cool. Like, they went a different direction than where I would have gone because I only have so much say. But yeah, that was my, Tom Brady. I mean, obviously I'm a big fan and what he's done. Well, I don't care if he's what position you're at to do what he's done. And that's like Bobby Orr for what Bobby Orr did for, the Bruins. It's the same. I mean, their legends will always go down in history as being the greatest. They should erect a statue at Gillette of Tom Brady, no doubt. I don't know.
I'm sure that's in the works.
Should be.
Did you hear about the potential one-day contract? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you think that's going to happen? I'd
like for it to happen. I'll be there if it does.
Not Roger Goodell. Jesus, what's his name?
I was going to say the Kraft. I mean,
Bob Kraft.
Yeah, Bob Kraft.
Yeah, Bob Kraft basically said, who's the owner of the Patriots, said they're going to sign Brady for a one-day contract just so he can retire as a Patriot.
And they will.
That makes sense.
They will because as much flack as they got the first time he did it, they didn't do that. They can't miss that opportunity again. And you could tell because even in Tom's post, there was a lot of Patriot stuff in there. And dude, come on. I mean, he's a Patriot. Like he obviously.
Buds, he's a Patriot.
You got to? Would he have to get a lot of money to do that?
No.
Or would it just
be
like,
they'll pay him something.
Yeah.
You
would think he would want it though.
Let's put it this way. I told Tom honestly when I went to the locker room, he signed something for me, and he was just like, "I know you're obviously I know you're a Boston fan." I was like, "Tom," and he goes, he felt bad. He kind of said something. He was like, and I said, "Tom, dude, I'm speaking on behalf of all New England Patriot fans. We love you, dude. You have done nothing but put this team on your back your entire career. There is not a person out there that matters that you should worry about because don't matter what you do at this point, like you've given us more than we'll ever get ever. Like I remember Patriots sucked for forever. He comes around and we're the most spoiled freaking franchise in history. I mean, that's great. It's weird though because I look at it now and I'm like, I don't care if they win for a while. Like I'm good.
Yeah, we're satiated.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris didn't really seem upset when he left.
Oh yeah, right. I'm sure.
Upset, but he was like he's fine with it though. Like,
well, like because the man.
What are you gonna do?
I would have liked to have seen him retire a Patriot and call it quit. I mean, that would have been great. But
he probably
got 2 more rings.
Bored, right?
The 2 more rings.
Yeah. While we're on the subject of Massachusetts royalty, talking about Tom Brady, I think it's a good transition to talk about Andrew Muddy.
Oh man, Muddy. Another goat.
We got a guest question from Muddy. Let me fire it.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Here we go.
Hey, what's up, Gary? Long time no see, buddy. Pretty cool you're on the bomb hole. What's up with all the sci-fi stuff in your office, man? Gotta fill us in. Let me know. Hope you're good. Later.
Oh shit. What's up with all the sci-fi stuff?
Sci-fi nerd?
I mean, I guess. Yeah, I am a sci-fi nerd.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm a sci-fi nerd. I've written some crazy scripts and did a lot of, I like to, so when I'm not taking photos, I'm building weapons and designing costumes, and I do all that shit.
Really?
Yeah. You ever remember the movie District 9?
Yeah, of course.
So I worked on District 9.
That movie's insane.
I actually built a couple weapons. So Weta was working on it. Weta hired me to go shoot all the previs for District 9. So I had gotten a lot of their designs for guns, and I went and actually created stuff. So I was a very behind-the-scenes person in the beginning of that thing with Neil Blomkamp directing and all that. He had hired me to shoot all the previs visuals because he liked the style of photography I was in. So, but because I was always a sci-fi nerd. So like when you walk into my studio, I've got like a 12-foot robot that I built. That I had built.
That you built.
That I had built. And then I have a lot of weapons and futuristic weapons and like just weird shit everywhere. It looks like a comic book shop gone mad, And which is weird because I'm transitioning now into the new studio and like all the people are like, oh, so how much of this shit are we bringing over there? And
You're like all of it.
It's some of it. I've got to purge. But yeah, I've always been like a sci-fi nerd. I just remember, I love all that shit. Horror, sci-fi. Here's the thing. People get so damn hypercritical on, and we're talking about film, like, is it a good movie? Is the plot right? Look, if you watch a film and you either laugh, cry, or get scared or have a reaction, it's a successful film. Plain as day. If you have a reaction, if a film that you watch, anything, makes you feel anyway, that's when a film's successful.
If it invokes emotions.
Yeah,
if it evokes emotions. If it doesn't, it's a bad film.
Good point.
And I get stoked on visuals. So like The Joker, one of my favorite visual films, the color palette they used, and just like every scene, I'm like, I'd hang that shit on my wall. If I look at a scene and I strip it apart in stills, because I kind of do that, I want that on my wall. It's like, that's what I look at as a photographer. And it's tough to play photographer director. I much prefer being a photographer than I like being a director. Because I'm a shooting director. I'm like a DP director. So I wouldn't sit back and go, yeah, that's great. Can you move the camera? That's great. I'm not that guy. I'm more like, get in there, get dirty, find the angles, what works, what doesn't work. So that's what I like to do. And I'm sure you can relate to that.
Dude, thinking of the Joker scene, you're obviously talking about Heath Ledger. And I saw that photo. I actually thought it was Heath Ledger. He like recreated. And it looks like it's from the movie, and he just recreated. Was that for another project or
for me?
Just for you. So that's insane.
I just was so moved by that I had to like go explore.
Get your version.
Just wanted to be, I found some dude who looked like Heath Ledger. He was like doing makeup. He wanted to be him, so I was like another DM, early Insta find.
Oh, you DM'd him?
DM'd him, like, let's do a project. Done. Flew out to Toronto, was where he's from. Found an abandoned bank and rented the bank.
Wow.
Shot in the vault and did all this cool shit and pyrotechnics.
A couple other guys in the background, too.
Yeah, it's like.
And that's just for you?
Just for me.
That's incredible.
I have spent, I'm not lying to you, hundreds of thousands of dollars on personal projects of mine. I did this graphic novel that was over. I basically shot this kid from the time he was in elementary school to the time he was in college of this crazy, story of a boy that's trying to save the world. It's like a boy that's born deep underground in this human preservation community that basically has to escape this evil leader to find out who he really is. And I did this shot it all in stills. So it's just one thing. I just had to get it out in my head because it was in my head and I wanted to just shoot it. And again, ass backwards. I didn't have a script and shot boards. I just shot it as I felt it. And then I tried to pitch it. And I had a meeting at Spielberg's office. I went to Amblin Entertainment. I don't know if you've heard the story, but I went. Oh my God! I went to CBS first, and I pitched this. I had a movie script and a series script that I pitched to CBS, and they were all over it. I couldn't even get 2 words. Oh my God, this is amazing! Oh, I had visuals, books. They were just like, we want in, and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing! Like I might be able to do this. So then the next meeting was at Amblin at Spielberg's place. As soon as we pull up Spielberg's place, like E.T. Gate and all that shit, I'm like bringing out my cell phone. I'm taking photos. You cannot take photos. Yelling at me. I'm like, oh my God. So we go into the office and like their Wi-Fi's down for the day. And my presentation was an Adobe Spark presentation that was Wi-Fi based. So I had no presentation. So I go into it. I'm nervous as shit. We go up to the office and it's like Oscars and Jurassic Park shit. And it's like, I am in royalty. Like, I'm like, so I get in there and I start pitching this idea that I have for at first it was a movie of it's called Artifice. It's a story of a robot and a little girl, military thing. And I started pitching it, and he was like, him and a couple writers, and all like, just like have this look. I'm like, oh fuck, what the fuck was that look? I'm sorry, no, it's just we have like all these other robot movies that we're doing right now, and he starts naming them off. Embry Bruckheimer's doing this one, and da, 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 da. I'm like, okay, and I'm like in my mind, I'm listening to him, and I'm not, and I'm thinking, okay, how am I going to spin this? So I'm like in my own head going, oh my god, and then. So I just forgot about that one. He goes, so tell me about the graphic novel. And then I start talking about the graphic novel, and he starts throwing me these curveball questions I can't answer. I wasn't ready for it. I'd never pitched anything in my life. So then all of a sudden, I don't know if you guys ever had a panic attack. I had a fucking panic attack.
A real panic attack?
Dude, a panic attack. Like all of a sudden, my throat started closing up. I'm like, I don't know what to say. And then my business partner's right next to me, and I like to talk. And he just was like, oh my God, what the hell's going on right now?
Because you weren't talking?
No, I was just like, I didn't know what to say. And then I saw this water on the table, and I picked it up, and it was like Polar Springs, and I pounded the whole bottle. It was his. It wasn't even mine. It was freaking. So I sit there, and I'm like, I have to use the bathroom, and I walked out. I walked out of the office into the bathroom in the hallway, and I like puked in the toilet, in his toilet in his office. And I come up from puking, and there's a bobblehead of Spielberg on a shelf right there. And I'm just like, oh my God. I looked in the mirror, and I'm washing my hands. I'm like, oh my God, what have I just done? And there's a knock on the door, and my business partner's like, are you all right, man? And I was like, yeah, fuck, man. I mean, I'm good. And I come out, and I just wing it. I'm like, yeah, all right, here's what I just was like, all right, I've already lost this battle, and I just kind of spilled it out. And then, I apologized to my friend as we left, and like the guy, and it wasn't Spielberg, just so Stephen Spielberg was not there, it was the head of production and all that. It's Spielberg's office. So like the guy calls my buddy, he's like, that was the greatest fucking moment ever. That dude is so rad. Like, making fun of me. It was a lesson learned.
Yeah.
I didn't prepare enough, and I'd never done this before. The only reason why I'm saying it is because it was one of those experiences where it doesn't always go so great, because I left one really good meeting and then had a really bad meeting, and that scarred me for years.
What was the lesson then? If there wasn't internet, you needed to prepare another way?
The lesson is don't eat a fucking crusty burrito before going into a meeting like that. No, I don't know. I think the lesson was just be more prepared,
Incredible.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, we've been going for a minute here. I think it's a good time for Name That Video part, bud.
Yes.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Oh,
let's
shit.
go.
Hey, baby, you watching some videos.
Name That Video part is brought to you by Woodward Park City, isn't it, Stoney?
It is. Woodward Park City is only 15 minutes from Salt Lake City, just 2 miles past Parley Summit. They're open 365 days a year with twilight lift access for skiing and snowboarding for this winter. Woodward Park City added 20% more terrain parks, Chris.
Let me tell you something. I've been riding up there, buds. It's fire, okay? Snow's good. Park's good. We hosted Dogfight, our rail jam up there. Great mountain from beginner all the way to kids shucking double corks. I see babies out there just flipping, just flipping off the jumps.
And indoors and outdoors, these babies are flipping.
They're
doing parkour.
They got airbags.
Yeah, everything.
I had a friend visit from Massachusetts, went to the airbag, learned how to do a flip, didn't take it to snow, but he probably can.
But he can now, huh?
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to do a flip inside there?
Maybe on a scooter.
I'd like to see
scooter
that next
backflip
time
into
we
the
go in
foam
there.
pit. I think I've done a scooter backflip into the foam
You know, the
pit.
coolest thing is $40 is going to be getting you on that lift, and there's not a lot of ski resorts that can say that. So
That's a good price, good place. They support the show. You should support them. Check out Woodward Park City if you're in the Utah area. With that being said, let's get into Name That Video part. All right, Gary, what's your confidence level, 0 through 10?
2.
2?
not bad.
I'll be honest with you, I'm not that
Are
confident.
you going to have a panic attack?
Oh, God, no. Probably.
I'll tell you, a lot of the videos I was looking for were on VHS, not on YouTube.
Oh.
So I wasn't able to pull any of the old VHSs, but this would technically be
set him
old
up for a
AV.
loss, basically.
We'll see
Oh,
how
I'm
he
going to
does.
lose.
We'll
no
see how he
doubt.
does.
I suck at this.
We'll
and
see
I
how he
watch so many of them, too. I'm like,
Okay, here we go.
dope song. I could picture like 30 different people like riding that. Like, and it's definitely like a rail scene, I think.
I'll give you that. There's some rails in it.
Yeah, and I
It's
feel
East
like
Coast royalty.
I
I'll
feel
say.
like it's muddy.
Close. Muddy was in these videos regularly.
Oh, Eric Caval?
No. Maybe a little younger than Muddy.
Zach Diamond. God damn it. See? Jeremy Bay now.
Throw some. What kind of?
I think he might have been a Rhode Island local.
Dude, like I said, I am so bad at that to this day. I'm like, I'm watching them all the time, and I'm like, I just forget about them.
Okay, the correct answer is Iron Curtain 1.
See, I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it?
No,
you haven't seen
No,
it.
that's what I'm saying. I haven't seen Iron Curtain. I was telling Kevin. I'm like,
Yeah.
I just was spending time with Kevin.
I
I'm
didn't
like,
realize you hadn't seen it.
never
I thought
saw
you were
it.
trying to get a copy of it.
No, I wanted to get a copy because I wanted to watch it.
It's Shane Flood's part.
Ooh,
Ender of Iron Curtain 1.
Flood.
Let's give him an air.
Oh, that's Shane?
Yeah.
Love Shane Flood.
Lucky for you, it's a participation award.
You didn't win this, just to let you know.
Oh, that's
But
all right.
We are going to give it to
We're
you.
going to give it to you.
No,
you
you're
didn't
not.
win it.
Come on.
It's a bomb hole Yeti carry-all.
Yep,
we got all
carry-all.
kinds of bomb hole stuff in there. Hoodies, T-shirts. We got smelling salts, so bring it back.
Rewind. It's Shane Flood, man. Shane Flood. All the way.
Curtain 1.
I knew that. It's the curtain of the Iron Curtain. Shane Flood. The Gaga Beast.
Sorry, I didn't know I didn't know your.
No, I'm sorry.
wheelhouse,
No,
Gary.
honestly, and I told Kevin, I'm like, I hadn't watched him, and again, like, it's funny, man. When I left the snowboarding industry, like I literally couldn't watch anymore. I couldn't. I had to separate myself. I was cold turkey out
Because you missed it?
It hurt so
It
much.
hurt.
It hurt so much. Like I literally, when I was having a baby, I knew I had to go find a job. I literally thought my life was over. I was like, well, it's been a good run.
Yeah.
I really thought that.
I'm going to go get a job at a bank teller.
What did I know?
Yeah.
It just got better. But again, to be able to do all that shit and come full circle and now kind of here I am sitting with you guys, man, it means everything to me. I mean, this is, to me, hanging out with you two is better than hanging out with 50 Cent, Rakim, any of that shit. Like, you guys are rock stars in my mind. So to be able to sit here, talk about rock stars with rock stars is dope.
Appreciate
awesome.
that. That's so kind of you to say that. And
That is.
we got a part 2 of Name That Video part for the listeners. Basically, we pick our winner. Where at, Buds?
You're going to go to the Instagram that announces Gary's episode's coming out the next day and put your guess in. And the winner's going to get a prize pack. It's going to be a sticker pack, not like Gary's big full pack.
Sick.
Yeah. And you basically comment on the photo of Gary when we announce
First
his
one
episode.
wins.
Because we can see who commented first and all that stuff. All right. Here we go. Kind of a sleeper, but great part.
Little sleeper hit.
Thank you guys for playing. Name That Video part.
Hey, baby, you watching video.
Welcome to the bomb hole.
All right, let's keep things moving here. A couple things I want to talk about. Back to snowboarding for a hot second. Stuff that jumps out to me in East Street Archives. We can get into that, but I always loved the cover photo of Andrew Muddy doing the bomb drop. Legendary.
Iconic right there.
That's
huh?
iconic. Big old bomb drop. You want to tell us the story
man.
behind that?
Yeah, it's a good story. I remember one day I was at work. I was at Reebok, and I get this phone call from Muddy. He's like, "Gah, where are you at?" I'm like, "I'm at work, dude." "Not anymore. You got to come. Dude, it's just, I can't even explain it. You have to come right now." And I'm downstairs, Beth Israel Hospital. Just come down there. I'm like, "Buddy, I'm at work. I can't do it." He goes, "I promise you, this is going to be like epic. This will be a cover shot." And he's like, "I'm going to jump off a building." I'm like, "What?" And I remember going, all right. And I was a kid. I'm like, a kid in a candy shop. Like, all right, cool. All right, I'll be there in like, give me like 45 minutes. So I go to my boss. I'm like, I don't feel really good. I think I'm going to just take the day off. "Oh yeah, it's no problem." Get in the car. I'm like, thank God I had my camera with me. And that was in Canton. So I drove from Canton to Boston. And I pull up at the Beth Israel Hospital. I'm like, where the hell is he? And I see his like little fresh court with a rainbow rail with nobody in it. And I kind of parked in front of him. And I'm like, where the fuck is he? And then I hear like, "Yo!" And I turned around and I'm like, I see this pile of snow next to the building. I look up and he's standing on top of this building. I'm like, I am not going to see this guy kill himself right now. Because that's Muddy. He would have killed himself. So he comes down. He was kind of scoping out the line or whatever. And he comes down and he had his buddy with him. And, he was just like, "Yo, I'm going to do this." I'm like, "Dude, that's insane. Like, fuck yeah, let's do this," And I had 2 cameras aside. So I had one set up on a tripod with a cable release, shutter, and then I had another one I was shooting handheld. And I was just like, all right, man. Well, like, what's the plan? He's like, all right, I'm gonna fucking go up and do this. I'm like, dude, are you sure you think you can stick that? And he was like, we're sure gonna want to find out. I'm like, that's a little pile. So he's like, as long as somebody's watching for cars, we'll be good. So I'm like, all right. So his buddy like was watching for cars, and I'm sitting there manning it. He goes up there, he straps in on the top of this roof. I'm like, oh my God, dude. It was death-defying to watch. So I'm sitting there, I got my camera ready. I'm like, do I have enough film? Oh my God. And then I'm thinking, like, where am I at? And I'm looking, I was like, okay, I had a fresh roll of film in there because I knew it was filming the camera. So I'm like, okay, I got 36 pictures to get this sequence of him jumping off this, building. So I'm like, I should be good. So he does it the first time, and I'm just like kicking out, these, 10 frames, 12 frames a second, whatever it was. And he eats shit, like basically grabs and then like pulls too much in the front and like just kind of like cases it and, bounces off into the dirt. And he's like, I got it. And I'm like, oh my God, all right, cool. I'm like, so I finish off the roll. I put another roll in, and he goes back up and he does it the second time and backseats it, kind of like skids out. And I'm like, dude, what the, and like, as soon as he does it, this car goes by. Like, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, all right, like, this is it, man. You're going to fucking kill yourself. He's like, this is just one more shot. I just want to get it right. So he does it the third time. And it's like, I just remember thinking in my head, this is fucking the craziest thing I've ever seen on snowboard at the time. So he does it the third time and stomps it, lands it, walks off just smiling in like muddy, fashion, and walks up and high fives. And I go back to work, and I'm like, I remember getting the film back and looking at it going, what? This is just so sick. And I remember meeting up with Pat. We were somewhere, the Worlds or something. It was like the quarters at Waterville or something. I had a slide sheet, and I remember showing him, and it was like him and like, Sullivan and a couple other dudes hanging out. Preston, I don't even know who else was there. But like I showed him that, and Pat's like, can I have this? That's the cover. I'm using this as a cover. I'm claiming this is the cover right now.
Wow.
I'm like, it's yours, Pat. Gave him the whole sheet. Sure enough. And the funny thing is, that was Draplin's first cover.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was
and no one had really done that.
Even to think
at that time, right?
Yeah. So that was super rad.
Dude, it's rare that Bridges just grabs a photo and says, this is the cover. Dude.
I mean, the eye.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if it was because of the eye or if it was the eye. But it was, it's funny. Like, I mean, I've seen Pat get into fights, and I've seen some shit like that, and I never knew. I thought that was like his eye was from a fight where he got cracked in the head, but I still haven't talked to him about it. So Pat, if you're listening, what was that from? Was that reborn with the eye, or was it you always had the eye? We call him Pat the Eye Bridges because he did have a good eye, but he also had the eye.
The eye.
The eye.
Nobody knows where it's from.
But yeah, so no, like Pat claimed it, and it worked out, and that was the only big magazine cover I ever had. As far as snowboarding goes, yeah, and that was super honor. I mean, that was like just to have that and in the context of it. You know, my homie from Boston,
Andrew Muddy, straight up G. We got a Patreon question about a car with a rainbow rail on it that I think would be really good for this timing.
Nice.
This is a Patreon question from Brian Mills, and he asks, "Could we hear about the Ford Escort rail shot at Sugarloaf?"
Yes, you can. Muddy.
As muddy as well.
As muddy.
So iconic.
He would always have these inventions. Like if it wasn't that car, it was like having a ramp that he would attach to the roof racks of his car to use as a, to drop in off the roof racks onto a piece of wood that's just barely covered in snow. So he was always, again, like I said, inventing interesting ways. When we talk about photography and finding a way to be different, that was Muddy. What can I do that would be different? So one of his friends it was a hand-me-down Ford Escort that he took, and one of his buddies, they went together and welded this pretty amazing rail on this car. I mean, it was set up beautifully. It was done. I mean, honestly, if you look at it today, you'd be like, yep.
Rainbow rail.
I can see it over your shoulder, which is the beauty of this conversation. Your other shoulder.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was a really cool thing, and we dubbed it the Fresh Court. So yeah, we would just pull up to resorts, and like he would run in from try to find some tranny and just right up the rail, and like honestly, people had tried it and they just wrecked themselves. So Muddy was really good at it. I'm sure I got plenty of shots of him, sequences of him killing themselves on that. But that was a very cool, iconic time. And another example of Andrew Muddy's shenanigans and like the shit that he used to do that I used to love working with him because he would always bring something. Dude, that
Come
was
up with a cool
interesting.
concept.
Yeah, 100%.
And you use it on the cover of East Street Archives.
I did. It was weird, thinking that what was going to be the cover, and we bounced
That must have
around.
been a hard
We,
cover,
we
hard
bounced
cover.
around with so many different cover ideas, but and I went through several designers, and I had a lot of great people that I would call on to help me with the book. By the way, the East Street Archives book, just because I knew this was a joint. This was for everybody. This wasn't my book. This was like I wanted it to be like a yearbook, some kind of kind of a memorial to our time back then. So I would, I'd called Neary, I'd called Jim Kelly, I'd call Barry Dugan, and we would just sit and chat. And so anyway, I guess, was just looking at selects and something was like stood out about that shot. It was just so part of the time. The car was part of that time period. What he was wearing was part of that time period. The idea of something so unique as that rainbow rail on the fresh court, with the license plate. It was just everything about it. When you look at it, it just was fun to look at.
What's the license plate say?
It's just it's got Massachusetts plates on
that's
it.
what's up.
It's like that was it. It was
Why'd you
mass
guys call it
represent
the fresh court.
because it was fresh as shit and it was an escort.
Escort that's fresh.
Escort that's fresh.
Fresh, yeah, that's fresh. FRESH, fresh. Yo, that's fresh.
That makes a lot of sense now.
Man, I was just thumbing through East Street Archives, just doing my research yesterday before we talked, and it's such a fucking great photo book. I think that anybody listening that looking for a good coffee table book, where do you find it at?
You can find them on eaststreetarchives.com or on the Instagram account at East Street Archives. We sell it. It's funny that you say that. That means a lot to me that you say that, because going into it, I was like, some of these photos are so shitty. It's like it's not about how good the photo was, and I knew that going in. I was just like, I just wanted to show the behind the scenes as much as I could, as much as I shot, because it was like some were guys in the sky, some were ass shots, some were, just not what you would call today great shots. But that was okay, because that's how I came up. It was about that. It was about like not being perfect and just being reckless, and just like I did my best to show that. And it's funny because some people are like, man, you can't show that. That's this shot or that shot. And I was worried, honestly, when I did the book. I was kind of like, I hope people like it. That's all I cared about, really, was like, I hope, the guys that are in this book like it. Not like the masses, but like, I'm doing this for them. And it took a pandemic, man. If it wasn't for the pandemic, I would have probably still haven't done it yet. So
it just gave you the time to haul up and get all your stuff together.
Man, I went to a dark place. I mean, my business was in jeopardy. I was on the road when it happened, and then we had a shoot when people got COVID at our shoot, and like this is when it first started, and you get faced with some reality, and I was just like, I remember being locked up in my house, which I haven't been ever. I'm always gone. I've been that man that's gone all the time, and now I'm a family man. I'm home. I'm shopping. I'm cooking. I'm working out all the time. I remember just being in my basement, putting hash marks on my freaking concrete wall where I work out, going day 5, day 6. It's like, and then I was going into this dark place for whatever reason. I think a lot of us can relate. And so one night I was like in my office downstairs. I was just kind of like, I don't know, surfing the internet, looking up some shit in coronavirus. I was just in a really weird, funky place. And I was turning the lights off in the office. And as I was going up the stairs, I kind of realized that this closet that I have, the light was on. So I was like, what the fuck is the light doing on? And I kind of opened the door a little bit, and I saw all my boxes of film. It was like snowboarding, 90s, da-da-da-da. And I was like, huh. So yeah, I'm gonna break out one of those boxes in the morning and just start checking out shit. So the next morning I got up and I started rifling through images, and I set up my scan station. I started scanning pictures, and then I noticed that with every scan that I made, a memory that I'd forgotten about came back. And I was like, that's rad. So I just was like, all right, this is something. And I just kept doing it. And then it was like, if I forgot about something, I would text Koval or somebody like, hey, do you remember this? Oh yeah. No. So then it just got to be that. So it just hit me. I'm like, all right, that's it. I'm doing a book. I've already done 2 books. I've got time. I'm doing it. And I just set out, and every day I scanned a boatload of images, and then I started, as I did it and I started talking to my, publisher and the people that I was working with, I'm like, okay, I want to do this book. I don't know I don't know how big it's going to be, but it's going to be at least 200 pages, yada, yada, yada. They're like, yep, it's going to be about a year, with the way things are shipping and da-da-da-da. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. So realizing that, I'm like, I got to tell people I talk about this a year. Like, I'm just going to all of a sudden throw this book out. So I said, I got to maybe start an Instagram account and then just start sharing the pictures that I, to see if anybody gives a shit. And that's what I did.
That's a good call. Yeah, see if anyone gets hyped. Like,
pretty much. I just said, I'll just try it and see if people care. Because, I had people go, no one's going to give a shit, man. I had people go.
People said that to you?
People said, no one's going to care. And I'm like, you know what, though? I care.
Yeah.
Like, someone's got to care. So I started doing that. And then as the Instagram account, I started seeing organically really start being followed by people that really did give a shit and wanted more. Then it was like, well, I got to do a website because I know how to build web. I just said, I'll just do a website, just start throwing stuff. I start digitizing stuff. And it was a very organic idea that to me has like built this community and has people like now being reintroduced to snowboarding again. And that love is infectious and you could see it. And like, so, creating East Street Archives. And the reason why I call it East Street Archives for those people that don't know is that we had this party house in Rutland. It was called East Street. It was on 70 East Street. So if you even see in the book, there's a 70 that's done in like this, UV foil that you can see UV hit. So 70 East Street was our party house, and everyone came through. Pat Bridges lived there. Chris Cowell, Jay Rosenbaum, Rush Jake with the RJ Films lived there. I mean, we were just animals, man. But again, this was one house. Those houses existed everywhere.
Yeah.
The Cracked In, the freaking Green Door. Yeah, everyone had a house somewhere. This was just my time and my friends, and that's what it was. But I wanted to share that with everybody and say, look, man, everyone's got a story. Like, dude, the amount of photographers out there that have so much epic imagery. So anyway.
So the book represents that time at the house and
much.
The writing around it. And
yeah, some people that weren't even pros. Right?
Yeah.
Some people that were they just hung out, they rode with us. I wanted to put those pictures in there because those people deserve their time too, man. They were just one of us. If you freaking strapped in and rode down a hill sideways, you're one of us. I don't care if you were a girl. I don't care if you were white, black, whatever. If you were there and you made it to the hill, you were family.
It's so rad.
That's it. I mean, and I think it's still like that now, really. I mean, like the pockets, obviously people go, the one thing that drives me nuts, and I've learned the reality of that is like some of the older guys are like, man, there's no more style in snowboarding. I got to tell you guys, like I've been around it enough now that I've been reintroduced that there's a dripping with style. There's a lot of style right now in snowboarding. You have to look for it. And like these people that are coming up are so talented at what they do. And like, are they disciplined? Yeah, we should have been disciplined. We did it. It was a lifestyle for us, and we drank and we smoked and we did our thing. It's just different times. You have to realize change happens. It's just that's not what they're into now. They're into eating right. They're into preserving the culture. Dude, honestly, these young guys give a shit about the history of the sport. That's insane. Because there's other sports that people really don't care too much about the history. And I really do love the fact that some of these young guys actually care. Your Zeb Powells, your Johnny O'Connors, Mike Rav, Red Gerard, Ben Ferguson. They all care. And they love that stuff. They geek out on some of the old stuff. And I appreciate that. I really do.
Good stuff. Well, to know where we're going, we got to know where we've been. And those books are so impactful. Some of the things that jump out at me is like I love the photos of Bridges when he's a kid and he's snowboarding, and then the U.S. Open images are so iconic, and the U.S. Open stickers. That's where you're like, this shit would not be going today.
Oh, for real?
It was a different.
Who was
vibe.
making those?
Bridges and Mark Sullivan.
Okay, because it wasn't
East
Burton,
Infection.
that's for sure.
It was really Mark Sullivan's deal. Yeah.
You want to run us through a couple of those?
Yeah, I mean, they were controversial as hell, but that's what it was all about. You had to stand out. We were disruptors, We were just we were hooligans on the snow. We just did shit because we wanted to do it, and if it made people angry and pissed off, then we were successful, And the stickers were just a part of that. It really, to me, it was a part of the Open, and I had to put it in there, even though I know it was going to be, people were going to be like, that's, fuck Iran. What's that? Like what was it? I Love Jenny Wara's Backside, or like Barrett Christie, not just good looking, good, or something like that. I forget what it was.
There's Speed Check's Bounce.
You know what I mean?
Speed Check.
Speed Check. I'm actually that's still true to this day. I bounced the other day. Speed Check.
But those were fun, and people actually dug them. Like Jimmy like Jimmy Scott, he actually showed it. Polished
Jimmy
my
Who.
helmet. You remember that? They were cool stickers, and it reflects the time. And I think that's important to be able to look back at that. And I had to do it, so I put those stickers in there. And it's the same thing with the letter from the Stratton president at the time, talking about how he apologizes to everybody about how crazy the U.S. Open was. I mean, I put that in there. I remember getting that fax at Eastern Edge, and we just it's like, what? It's like colorful commentary and blah, 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 and the music was inappropriate. And I'm like, yeah, dude, like we're.
Sounds like you guys are nailing it.
Yeah, sounds like you killed it.
We did.
I'll tell you what, when the U.S. Open moved to Vail, it was just never the same,
Yeah. Well, I will say this, having these meetings with Stratton now, and the people that are in charge are just so great, and they understand.
They realize what they lost.
They really
maybe?
did. I think they do, and they were honest about it. And they were like, we really feel like we want to kind of get back and pay homage a little bit more to the sport that was, partially born there, like it's got history and roots. Yeah. So they've been giving us everything that we've asked for, and to be able to bring that pipe back to Burnside where it once was, and a little retro pipe for people to go back and kind of reminisce and remember what it was like to ride those 8-foot pipes. I mean, dude, that's going to be great,
break down what Homesick is for people that don't know.
Yeah. So Homesick was, it's an event that I want to put together. It's like a shred and arts festival that's going to be at Stratton, March 24th, 5th, and 6th of this year. The reason why I call it Homesick, I was thinking about the right title, and I was like, look, I lived there. I lived at Stratton. I felt homesick about missing the Open, missing what it was like to see all my homies and my friends and to feel part of a family. That was gone. So I said, it's my duty to bring that back and let these people have the proper high school reunion. That's what I wanted. Like, I don't care. If you don't want to ride, don't ride. Just come. Let me give you a kiss and a hug. That's it, man. That's what I wanted it to be. So Homesick is, there's going to be an on-snow element. So there'll be like a downhill kind of like dual, gates, with like a drop down, the fastest man kind of to the bottom wins kind of thing. And there'll be a pipe contest in a jam session, which is really cool. So there'll be ops. So it'll be up for 3 days. So obviously there'll be the contest part, but you'll be able to ride it, throughout. So having that cut with the Zog, like one of the early Zogs, to make sure it's fresh like every day was pretty dope. So people can really, so it doesn't get too worked like they used to do back in the Open.
Dude,
Richard's still got a Mickey in that thing?
Dude, I'm telling you, people are gonna come out. They're gonna tear something. Someone's gonna get hurt, but they're gonna have a lot of fun doing it.
Dude.
And then the Zeb Powell Rail Jam is gonna be great. He's really instrumental in kind of putting that together and kind of creating this really fun experience right above the pipe, actually. So I got.
So it's pretty low then.
It's low.
People will be able to walk up there and see it.
100%. You can walk right up, which is great.
Yeah.
So, and then you got, Lane Knack, who's one of my homies from back in the day, FHM Welding. Him and Zeb Powell are working together. You're rocking it right now.
T-shirt right now.
I was just there the other day, and we were getting some shots of him and Zeb together building the.
So Zeb's right there with him.
Zeb's right there with him,
making sure everything's going to be proper.
I mean, and that's kind of how it's been with Homesick, is that I'm reaching out to guys like Ross Powers is like the technical pipe director, and like what has he done for snowboarding, and shooting that kid when he was like in his early teens and seeing what he's done with his career, and now he's giving back and he's a coach at Stratton Mountain School. I mean, and now to have that half pipe be reintroduced in the place where he learned to ride it in the first place, man, there's so many stories. And I think that's what's cool too, is like we're gonna go back here, and I've already got confirmations of almost 100 people and some really big names. You know what I mean? And to be able to sit down with them for a hot minute and hear their stories, I think that'd be great too. So, I don't know. I'd love to have you guys there, because I think it'd be great, and you guys do such a great job. And I know if half the people show up that say they're gonna show up,
yeah, it seems like you have a confirmation list building up that's pretty insane.
It is. It's really great. I mean, some of the Euros coming back. I've got Brushy and Ford and Neary and Coughlin, and like it just goes on.
Coughlin gonna put on that speed suit
for
the
you imagine?
race or what?
Well, I was like, I would love to get Coughlin and Palmer to go head to head again. So I talked to Sean about, it was about a few months ago, and he was like, he said he would try. There's a lot of guys that they're try. Like Danny Cass is obviously busy now, but get him back. Noah Brandon's coming back. You know what, man?
Todd's going, huh?
Todd said he's going. I mean, but also you got natural selection, so I'm trying to figure that out. Bridges.
What is it, right at the same time?
It's the finals are at the same time.
So I feel like natural selection is just a spread of the whole winter almost.
And that's going to be a Whistler, right?
Revelstoke?
Yeah.
I don't know where the finals is, but I
Yeah.
know they're doing one at Revelstoke. I don't know where the last one is.
Or you can pick your spot. That's
That's
not the finals.
That's the
Yeah,
duels.
the
They
duels.
already shot. Yeah. Good
crazy.
stuff. Sounds like a great event.
Dude, I saw a photo. I think you took it. It must have been of Todd after he beat Terje. Is that the shot? And just the look on his face. Have you seen this photo?
Yeah.
Dude,
Is
the
it in
look.
the book?
Yeah, I think it might be where I posted it.
I saw it on his gram, but the look on Todd's face is just like this look that I just beat Terry. It's just incredible.
It's
like,
IB Terry look.
Yeah, he just captured it. And it's just like, damn, dude.
Terry was hard to beat. Terry. The only reason why Terry fell, and it's funny because after he fell, I have a shot of Terry holding up, which people thought it was the peace sign. He was like two hands like this, but I'm like, was it peace or did he know he got second? I don't know, but
and Todd just elated.
People don't realize, or at least some people don't realize how influential Terry Hawkinson was to us. And I talked to him not too long ago, and he was like, I was excited for him to come back.
Did you invite him to Homesick?
I did invite him to Homesick, and whether he shows up or not, his spirit's gonna live on there for sure. I know this is not the Open, but still, there's some nods. But Terry said something like, I'm not in the industry anymore or whatever. I'm like, that's bullshit. I was like, Terry, that's like Michael Jordan saying I'm not in the industry anymore. But, I love that guy and what he's done for snowboarding. It's like talk about Tom Brady, what Tom Brady's done for New England Patriots. I think for sure Terry Hawkinson, alongside with Craig Kelly, and others are so important to our sport and what they brought and what we've watched. I mean, again, it goes on to everyone plays a part, right? And it's like you learn and you see what someone does and go, okay, that's possible. I can try that, or I can do that. I feel safe to try that. And then in the process of learning that, you also grow and develop and do your own stuff. Like Shaun White wouldn't have been a Shaun White without looking at other people before him and then the other people after him. Like you see what's possible and where it's going now. Who knows?
It's crazy.
I love what I'm seeing. I love. All the backcountry stuff right now is just so insane. Watch what these guys are doing, the level of safety and expertise that they bring, but also at the same time of just having fun and ripping it, and it's just there's this combination of knowledge and just nastiness that just combine that I love.
Now I get a question, or actually I guess I kind of just want to bring this back up, but off air, you were talking about the parallels between kind of snowboarding and maybe business, and for you, that business photography, snowboarding, you fall on your face and you get back up.
Yeah.
Same with business. I kind of want to see you lean into that.
Yeah, I mean, I always look at there's parallels in everything, right? You can look at something and see similarities in other things, and I always thought with looking at where I am now with businesses and going from one studio to the next and rent tripling and quadrupling and all the different aspects that go in your business, even what you guys are doing here, you're moving up and growing. There's risks involved, there's more money involved, there's more just things that get in the way that you have to be worried about or think about daily, lose sleep over. But when you look back, it's really no different. The parallels of a skater or a snowboarder learning a trick or wanting to, there's a feature that they want to do a certain thing on. Dude, you bust your ass. You try and try and try again until you get it. And it's you're going to get hurt. You're going to get bruised. You're going to fall down and hurt yourself. But you get up and you go and you do it again. And what does that feel like when you actually land that crazy trick and you get it filmed and you're just dude, you're pounding out, you're high-fiving and you move on to the next thing. And it's a sense of accomplishment. And once you do that and you realize that it just doesn't come easy. Nothing does. Nothing in life comes easy. But if you really work through it and you do those things, you will prevail and you will. So there's a lessons learned. There's a lot of people out there struggling with addiction and all that stuff. And I talk to people all the time, and we're all we all have that. We all have something going on, and nobody's perfect, and we all have our issues, but there are ways around it, and it's good to have some friends that help you too, with it. I love that. So talking through things and having a support system, no matter if it's a trick, if it's a business, if it's real life shit. You just need to be there for your homies and definitely, support them as much as, as you can.
Well, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it, and everything would be too easy. It wouldn't be as exciting when you finally pull something off, right?
True. So true.
It would just be boring.
I want to hear about this new production studio. I don't know what you call it. You're making.
It's kind of weird. I always feel like people are like, well, he's running 5 businesses. It's like, when I think about it, I'm like, am I really? I'm like, oh, I guess I am.
Take us through them.
Christ. I mean,
run us through the business. And we'll be like Mr. Wonderful and Shark Tank. And
see what we're down
we'll
with.
see if we want to invest or not.
See if we can poke any holes
There's
in
no
it.
money.
It's valued at $7 billion. We've sold 3 items.
Well, so I have GLP is where it started. It's just Gary Land Productions, a production company. We got GLP. We got several directors and photographers that are underneath that group. So it's all like kind of the production arm of one of my businesses.
Before we jump into that, so you left like working with Reebok or whatever, and you were just like, I'm going to go do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to get people working under me.
Well, no. When I left GLP, it was just me.
It's just you.
Just me. I just called it Gary Land Photography, and then it just developed Gary Land Productions after time. So I had to start somewhere, but I like the name GLP because it felt like LP record GLP.
Yeah, and you're feeling good financially to make a move, and
it's just like winging it.
Yeah.
No, I mean I did. So when I moved out of Reebok, I had GLP. We were in Rockland, Mass, in a little small footwear, like it was an old shoe factory. We had a small little 1,000 square foot, room, and I was a post-production guy, so I did a lot of retouching. I was one of the first Photoshop guys that had to deal with Photoshop, so I literally was that guy for years. So designer, photographer, retoucher. So we moved into the spot, and I did a lot of retouching, made a lot of money through Reebok and other brands doing some retouching stuff. So we just saved our money. So as I'd get hired and go on the road, me and my partner at the time, he was my Digitech and an assistant, and I was a photographer. So we would go on the road, we'd make our money with our day rates, but then all the money we made for the retouching and all that stuff, we would just put in the bank and save it. So over time, we saved that money, and then we decided to go get a place in Quincy that was going from 1,000 square feet to almost 6,000. It was a big jump, and it was super scary. And I remember being nauseous, going, "Oh my God, can we afford this?" And building it out. And it just, 12 years later, we've created this incredible business and formed another business. We started Trident Post-Production, which was the post-production arm. And then
more so steered towards video and film.
Yeah, video and film, which is we did a lot of CG work for NASCAR, Puma, Adidas, Reebok. It was just going on and on and on. A lot of CG elements, and some of our guys left and working in Hollywood now. And then over the years, people coming to me and asking me for it wasn't just being a photographer director. It's how do you see us bringing this product to life? What are some brand identities for this new project we have? So I get a lot of that, and I would give it to them for free. And then someday I was just I got to start charging for this. So I ended up starting an agency with another guy called Convoy. And we're 6 years deep in that, and that thing's growing at a rapid pace right now. So here I am with GLP, Trident, Convoy underneath one roof, and I'm like, dude, I need to grow. We need to move on. So we've been building a studio right now, which is 27,000 square feet. And that's the whole bottom level is 2 huge sound stages and bullpens and offices. It's been pretty massive. And so we're calling that Route 3 stages because it's Route 3. It's like a Marshfield. And then on top of it are all our offices that kind of have the business there. So
what gets done on the stages?
It'll be rent to get out to movie industry and to other brands that want to come in
and film or do music
commercials.
Or commercial
so
anything.
I couldn't have my name attached to every business because I'm a threat to other people, or so I've got a production company, I've got an agency, and I've got a post-production company. And I get hired by agencies to do work. So if I've got my own agency and agencies are hiring me, so I had to change names. So I learned the hard way, don't have my name completely associated with stuff, even though I have a piece of it all. So I do all fine. People think you must make millions. It's I do fine, but there's a lot of money that we put into these things, and it's just like I told you, you got to take these risks and do those things. If you want to do it, you have to do it, and it's scary as shit. Scary.
Each stage of growth, huh?
Each stage of growth, and where I go next, I don't know. I mean, I know I want to do a movie. That's personally what I want to do.
Sci-fi, hopefully.
Nope, it's going to be a snowboarding movie. Actually, it's going to. Yeah, I'm already starting to work on the script. It's called 68 or Less, and it's going to be based. It's basically, super bad and ski school in one thing.
Dude, we've been waiting for something like that.
Hot tub time machine.
Yeah, it's a hot tub time. It's basically a road trip.
Sci-Fi. We
Road
go
trip
sci-fi
movie.
with it.
And Bridges was on that trip. I mean,
68 or less. Explain the concept for those who don't know.
yeah, so 68 or less was a story I did for Eastern Edge. It was Greyhound was doing a special for $68. You could go anywhere in the world, anywhere in the country. So Neil Korn had this idea with Pat Bridges that we wanted to do. We're going to go from Rutland, Vermont to Government Camp, Oregon on a Greyhound bus with a bunch of ragtag snowboarders to go have fun. So we did, and that's what we did. I was the photographer. It was like Pat Bridges, Dick Nessover, Jim Kelly, myself, Jason Rosenbaum, and this girl Carrie Johnson, who was another photographer. And we just took this bus. It was like 90-something hours there and then 90-something hours back. And the stuff that happened on that road trip there and back, it sounds made up. From bad drugs to going off the highway on a bus, to a pregnant woman, to sex on the bus, to, dude, it's just like everything that possibly could happen, happened. And when we realized we were in trouble, was like getting on the bus in Rutland and stopping in West Rutland.
Oh, geez.
We're like, oh my God, this is going to be a long trip.
This is going to be a great trip, guys.
So, but you know what? It just was such a cool story. And I feel like, to me, if any movie that I do would have to be something that I experienced myself, or that it just feels fun. Because I do like a lot of shit. I like sci-fi. I like horror. I like, I love all of it, thrillers. But like this one, I got to do for everyone.
Who was driving the bus?
Bunch of crazy ass Steve Buscemi. No, no, but that's what it
He'd
felt.
be great for the movie.
Yeah,
actually.
so like
If
I
we get
definitely
Steve in
I don't
there.
know who drove the bus, but it was like 10 different bus drivers. They kept getting on because they were like tired. But one guy
So then
went
you guys
off
would
the road
change
into a
him.
cornfield.
That happened.
Oh yeah, drove off the road. It was just epic, the amount of shit that went on that trip. And then we get there, and I get the retinal burn. We almost died in a crevasse. I mean, it was like, oh my God. It's just, the stories are epic. So it'll be fun putting that one together. So as soon as Homesick's over, and I'll be.
For some reason in my mind, I picture like an old school bus, but it was probably like more of a Greyhound.
Yeah.
It was an old Greyhound bus. It was gross.
I bet
should
now a
cast-
Greyhound across would be a lot more than $68 or whatever.
Hell yeah, it would
Probably
be.
like $680.
Probably.
If you're gonna cast
Inflation.
one person, you should cast Mikey LeBlanc.
Oh, dude, he's good.
He's
As a
got-
bus driver.
As a bus driver.
Oh,
yeah.
dude.
He would be killer.
You know, it's funny. I will have cameos in it for sure. Definitely.
Mike is like he probably would have won an Emmy had we submitted.
For
his-
real?
Yeah, he's good.
That's amazing.
We'll say, I don't know if you've seen his new movie that he made with Spencer Schubert and Ride, but it's incredible. We'll send you a link.
Please send me a link.
What's it called again?
Assisted living.
Assisted living?
Yeah.
And he's like the old guy. They pull him out of a retirement home. And then he's like, wait, the toboggan. And then he like grabs the toboggan. And then he's like snowboarding on this toboggan, jumping off
Oh,
stuff.
sick.
It's
awesome.
incredible.
Yeah.
He's a good actor.
That's weird. I did not know that.
Well, in the early days with like Whitey, he played like a police officer in one of the skits, and it just he's just done these cameos throughout, and he's really, really good.
Dude, Whitey. God, when I say those names, it's like I remember I was at the Peace Park with Danny Davis and Mac Dog and Blotto, and it was just like, oh my God, this is these people right here I'm in front of right now are just it was just so amazing. It's such legends, and to be able to see Mac Dog, and he's still killing it. It was just so cool.
Which
man.
Peace Park was it?
It was the one at Killington's Peace Park.
Oh,
It was
Killington.
the opening of it like last year, and Danny's rad. I mean, I think that's the thing too. Like, just I have to say, like, I grew up around a lot of snowboarders and guys that were pros at the time. They're cool guys, but they also could be douchey. They could be really dicks, and like the guys now are so freaking nice. Everybody's nice. They're all raised by great people. I don't know what it
Yeah.
is. Like, I'm like, damn, we were not that nice.
They're not
There's-
from Massachusetts. That's what
Yeah.
they got going for them.
Maybe.
There is a lot of really nice people out there in the snowboard industry right now.
Oh yeah.
I feel what you're saying.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and talk to you guys about Ikon Pass. They got over 50 of the best resorts, Stony Buds.
They do, and it's worldwide here. 33 resorts in USA, 8 in Canada, 13 international.
Grab the best prices on 23, 24, and get all the early season's goods. Upon purchase, buy now, ride now, with immediate spring access to 6 mountains and a total of 12 destinations by April 10th. The immediate resorts are
Big Bear Mountain Resort, Snow Valley, Blue Mountain, Stratton, Sugarbush, Snowshoe in Virginia.
And by April 10th, all of the above plus
Mammoth Mountain, June Mountain, Palisades, Tahoe, Winter Park, Tremblant, and Solitude here in Utah.
It's a nice, very French Tremblant there, bud.
Thank you.
Claim big savings on child passes with the purchase of an adult pass.
Unlock spring's lowest prices and score renewal discounts when you renew your Ikon pass for the 23-24 season.
Claim Adventure today for as low as 0% down, $0 down, and then pay over time with a 3, 6, or 9-month payment plan.
Multiple pass options that provide flexibility for how you ride.
The good stuff is coming at iconpass.com. Big announcement from the Bomb Hole. Bomb Hole Cup is right around the corner, April 1st and 2nd at Brighton Resort here in Utah. It's going to be a massive event this year. Day 1 is a bank slalom. We got 2 courses. We got 84 trophies getting made up for all different types of classes, from skiers on boards to Grom to all different age groups. We're going to have an industry class, so be sure to sign up for Day 1. For the bank slalom. Day 2 is a park showdown. So we'll have Grom class, open class, pro class. We also got a bomb hole limousine, an old Cadillac that we bought that'll be up there. We'll be jumping over. It's going to be mayhem. So be sure to check out our community get together for all our bomb hole listeners. It's for everybody, from pros to beginners. Come hang and share the love of snowboarding. Strengthen our community. Make sure you guys sign up for Bomb Hole Cup before it's full. Signups are filling up fast, and we want to make sure everybody makes it out to Bomb Hole Cup April 1st and 2nd at Brighton. One last reminder, we're going to do pre-registration at Milo Sport the day before the event on Friday. So head on over to Milo on Friday if you're signed up. And if you're not signed up already, head on over to bombhole.com. It's going to be a barn burner of an event, and we want to see you guys there. So again, head on over to bombhole.com, sign up for whatever class suits you, and we'll see you April 1st and 2nd at Brighton for 2nd annual Bomb Hole Cup. All right, we happen to have a guest question. This guest question is presented by Autumn Headwear. They support the show. They make some killer beanies. We do a collab beanie with them, available at bombhole.com or autumnheadwear.com. Their whole shtick is style matters. So they make stylish beanies, cool prints, different fits. They got the Resi beanie if you want to go sky high. It's not called that. They also got, what else, buds?
Well, they got the Fisherman's Friend.
They got that if you're into the fishing wharf.
Yeah, if you want to go down the wharf and just look smooth and emotional, that's a great hat.
They got the E code. There's G code and there's E code.
Whatever you need,
they got
the code.
They got you covered.
They got the cheat codes.
They got the cheat codes. So head on over to autumnheadwear.com. Use promo code BOMBHOLE to get 20% off. Get yourself a nice. They call them toques in Canada.
Toques.
Buds.
Yep.
Toque.
With that being said, we got a guest question from HFM's welding himself, Mr. Lane Kanak.
Gary, over all the years of all of the different types of shoots you've been involved with, from snowboarding, musicians, athletes, all that good stuff, who has been your all-time favorite to work with? Next question is, what is the most obnoxious thing you've ever bounced on your chin?
Well, I love Lane. I would have to say, and I say this all the time, and it's like no surprise, I'd have to say 50 Cent is my all-time favorite person to shoot. And the reason is because of how much he showed up on time. He would do everything I asked him to do, and he would hang out for an hour after, kind of absorbing the production and like learning about cameras. I mean, I was showing him how to use a camera. He was very much into the process. And I noticed, as big of a superstar as he was, it kind of reminded me of how Brushy or like Neary, at the time when we were shooting, if you want to relate that to snowboarding, how these guys were already superstars. They were already traveling internationally. They had pro models. They were like, we had posters of them already. I mean, they were big timers, but they'd come back and you're hanging with them like they were one of your boys. Like they were one of your boys, but they just didn't treat you like, they didn't act like they were celebrities. And I think 50 was like that with me for all those years, like just super cool and super chill. So I think that's why I liked him the most, is just because I felt like, it was real, So yeah, that's that.
I thought you were going to say 50 Cent was the most awkward thing you balanced on your chin. But I guess not. You know what, though? The guys that hang out for an hour afterwards on his level, that's incredible.
It is incredible.
Yeah.
And to see where he's at now as a director, producer, he's doing movies, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
One quick thing about him, when I was shooting his, the vitamin water thing in his house, in between the last shot we were taking, and it was like 4 people from Vitamin Water where they're kind of sitting back in Video Village and we're shooting all the stuff. And he was like, he just kind of comes up. He was actually making a bologna and cheese sandwich. It was actually part of the shot, part of the thing. And he was like, yo, I don't want you guys to pay me. I'm going to own part of the I'll just pay me in stocks. And then the guy was like, I think it was Rohan. I can't remember his name was. He was like, are you serious? 50 was like, yeah. And he's like, can we take a break? And they go into this room. 50 Cent comes out as part owner of Vitamin Water.
What?
True story. And then
Good
it
move,
was
50.
And then it was sold.
Yeah,
and
because
50 made millions.
He made
off
so
that.
much money. I
Millions.
remember that.
So that's a really cool story, and I watched that happen.
And
so
it was
it's smart. He was smart.
Small enough of a company where the dude that was on the set.
Well, they had to pay him. They were paying him. They were gonna pay him a lot of money. So he's like, don't pay me. Just let's do it in stocks, and that's what they did.
And he just believed in it.
Just believed
smart,
in it.
Really smart guy, obviously.
Super smart guy. So like, it just made sense, And then just to watch that go down like that, it's really cool.
Just
over a bologna sandwich.
Yeah, he's making a bologna
over
sandwich.
a bologna sandwich.
He's just like, hold on, let me think here.
Part 2 of the question was largest item balanced on chin.
Or most awkward item, I think.
I think the most awkward item was probably a rowing machine.
The one you were showing me.
Yeah, I mean, because that one it's heavy and it's super awkward.
Yeah, how heavy was that bad boy?
It was like 80 pounds. But I remember I was doing a CrossFit shoot somewhere in Colorado, and like I saw that thing, and I was like, I wonder if I can bounce it on my face. And then some guys are actually doing like some exercise. I couldn't even tell you what it was, but they were a bunch of muscle heads. And I was like, hey man, you think I can balance that row machine on my face? They're like, what? No. So I'm like, all right, watch this. And I like actually won I think I won $150.
I was gonna say, hopefully you put some money on
I
that.
did. And then I just did it in one take, and people were filming it. And my assistant was like, I'll take the camera and shoot you. And I did it. But it's like, yeah, it's weird. The balancing thing, I don't know where it came from. People ask me, what's the first thing? I have no idea.
You don't even remember the first time. That's crazy.
But it's just fun. It's easy. I don't know why.
I heard you're going for the record.
Yeah. I tried to go for the world's record. They tried to do it for my birthday a couple years ago, and we were practicing for it, and I was balancing this giant 50-foot lead pipe. It was like almost like pipe that was screwed in with like fittings, and it was bending, and it snapped, and it came down, and I got it off my face just in time, but it sheared my friend's hand and severed his hand. So at that point we stopped. He had to go to the hospital, but we didn't finish it. But I think I can pull off the world's record.
That thing could have killed you.
It could have killed me. Yeah, I know. I've done some dumb
You need to
shit.
get like a better scenario going where it doesn't break in half, I guess.
It's become part of my shtick, It's like, oh, Gary, balance this. Can you balance that? Even in Baldface, Pat Bridges is like, hey, Gary, balance. What can you balance on your face? I was balancing shit for people.
Run us through the docket. I need to know.
Yeah, some
I need
interesting
to know
balances. What was your favorite
40-foot poles.
Ladder?
Every ladder from 6 to 10 to 12 to 16 foot I can balance. I balanced a pole with a basketball on it at the Golden State Warriors arena, and had a couple guys that are like, just dunking, grabbing the ball as I'm balancing it and dunking. God, what have bicycles for days.
Did you get to start doing humans?
It's hard. I tried to balance a swordfish. Actually, we went fishing. I was doing another shoot, and we were like 50 miles out every day in Costa Rica.
Swordfish.
And we got swordfish, and like we had them like, I wonder if I could balance a swordfish on my face. And I was like, what a dumbass for even thinking that. Fucking thing's heavy. So I was like, I can't even lift this thing. But I'm like, that would be cool to do something like that. So one of the things I want to do is I want to go somewhere that has monkeys. And I thought if I got like a giant pole with a platform on it, and I got the monkey to climb up and they get the monkey to juggle while I'm like, that shit would be cool.
That would be some cool footage.
But I don't think I can balance a person. There's people doing really crazy shit out there. So they're like, why don't you go on America's Got Talent? Because I'd get booed off the stage if I did it. It's just fun. It's a novelty.
I want to see the Rocky montage of Road to World Record of you training. That's what I'd like to see.
Training to build up to the pipe.
You imagine that shit? Yeah, it's weird. It's fun. I don't know. Every once in a while, I'll get somewhere and I'm like, I got to do this.
It's weird.
It is weird.
Tight.
It's completely weird.
I got a question. So thinking about where you came from, Eastern Edge and magazines and film.
Yeah.
and the current state of, I guess we could say media, or we could say snowboard media. I guess I'm kind of wondering as a photographer, director, how do you feel about the direction media's heading in snowboarding, particularly since the snowboard show? Is it more photo books? Is it magazines? Is it all digital? What are we doing here?
Well, I'm a big fan of analog print. You know, I love print, so I love seeing what people are doing with books that are coming out. Like I've got pretty much everybody's snowboard book, you know, which I love. You know, Blotto's been killing it. He does really cool stuff, like the foam book, and like he did a book with him and Cerilli, which was cool. You know, Ari Markopoulos, Machiavelli, everyone's got one. Transitions and exits, Snow Beach, 28
Dude,
days.
Snow Beach, you can't get your hands on that, man. I've been trying.
Blower was one of my favorites
Cool.
because it was early, and Jared Eberhard kind of like spearheaded that thing at Burton, and I feel so bad. And Jared, if you're watching, like I owe you a huge apology because I know he was hitting me up for images for years, but I think at that point I was really pretty deep in my commercial, you know, photography. So anyway, I couldn't give him photos, and it just like I wish I had because I think that was one of my favorite books, and it really inspired me to do other stuff. So, but I have to say, I don't watch a lot of snowboarding movies. I don't watch a lot of movies, period. But like, what I am noticing is like it went from, you know, film look to like, you know, Panasonic stuff to like red, and then people like red's too clean. Now they're back at the Panasonic stuff with the fisheye lens with the, you know, Century freaking lens attached to it, like skating. So it's kind of coming full circle. And even with my, you know, shooting and directing now, I'm shooting a lot more film. I'm shooting a lot of 16 mil film right now. The problem is like nobody wants to wait for it. But yeah, I you know, look, I'm on Instagram all the time. I feel like I can't put it down because there's always something new. So I don't give a shit if you shoot with your film or your camera or your you know, your iPhone or whatever. I think it's all relevant. You know, I think it's all matters. So I just think we have more opportunities with different, you know, cameras to use. I mean, before we didn't have that option. Now we do. So I think it's just in how you want to skin it. How do, you know, what does it feel like to you? I remember talking to one of the guys that was filming. I think it was one of the bomb hole guys, and he was shooting with like, you know, DVX or something like that, Panasonic, or I forget what it was. The camera, I forgot, like something we all used back in the day. And I was like, yeah, why this? And he's like, because I just love the way it looks and it's easy and da-da-da-da. I'm like, he's right. And that's why we used it, you know? Now it's like I got focus pullers and like I got so many assistants and I'm hand-holding cameras and that have Teradeks and this and that and everyone. I mean, it's just so much weight, you know, with gimbals and have to wear, you know, easy rigs and freaking ready rigs. And it just gets to be more cumbersome. So, but when you ask me that question, I think I'm more of a print guy. I more appreciate these guys are now doing books. Like I look at guys like, how has Bud Fawcett not done a book? How's Andy Wright not done a book? Kevin Zacher.
How's Eastone not done a book?
True. You need to ask him.
Dude, exactly. So
Andy,
but
Andy and I have been talking about us each.
But you will. But here's the thing, you will, because and I want to be that person even to help and say, look, I've got some really good people that I know that make books. So I want to be able to. I think half the thing is like I've done it now 3-4 times, and I've learned
you got to break the ice.
A lot along the way, and I know the best ways to do it and where to print and all that kind of stuff. And to me, it's about the paper. It's about the paper. You got to go off on paper quality.
Just don't skimp on the paper.
Don't skimp on the paper, because that's what your pictures are living on.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So
don't make a book and have it look like crap.
And I only know because I've done it in the past. So I like using papers. I love, you know, all the different like embellishments. I think it just helps the experience. Like when you put out a book, a snowboarding book, a skateboarding book, I don't care what, fishing, whatever it is. You want to try to reach other people other than those people that are into that sport. Mm-hmm. Like, is it a person just appreciates culture, art, books? Like, if you can tap into those things, it just gives you more people that are going to be into what you're doing. If that makes any sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But I mean,
it's a chance to just reach out and really explore that art form that it is.
Which brings me to, like, so this is not a one and done thing. So East Street Archives is not a one and done thing. Sure. Like, I started with the book East Street Archives just for me to be like, I got to get this off my plate. I got to get it done. It's done. But we're working on the second book now, and I haven't really talked about it, only with Eastone and other photographers that are going to be a part of this thing. But we're doing another book called Witness, and it's a really massive project. So it's 4 books actually that's in one. So it'd be like a double gatefold, you know, slipcase that opens up and has 4 books in it, and each book represents a decade in snowboarding, starting with the 80s. So it'd be 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. And within each one of those decades would be a group of photographers that were instrumental in that era. And then like them telling their stories about some of their favorite images. Because to me, what it's about, it's like the images are amazing, but sometimes people don't know like what it took to get that image, or like how something quirky about it. Like, and I think that's what's fun, is like to be able to read something that goes along with an image. I don't care if you've seen it or you haven't seen it, but just to find something else out about that is so rad. So I think that's what I'm really excited about. So we've been collecting a lot of images. Many people have already submitted, and to be able to just be a photographer and a creative person, to be able to look at these images and just salivate, going, dude, like to see, you know, the beginnings of like the Trevor Graves, Bud Fawcett, you know, Ken Achenbach and these guys, and the images that they're doing, and like back in the day when it was crude almost, to where it is now, and I mean, just shit is just,
it's crazy.
It's like, God, like seeing your stuff and just like, I just appreciate it so much. I could actually look at stuff and just get stoked. You know what I mean? Like just looking at images. So I'm really excited to put this book together, and I don't know when it's going to come out. It probably won't be next winter, but it would probably be the summer after that.
What do you think retail will be on a 4?
It'll be reasonable, similar to what this one is.
Yours, the way you had the pull out is so cool.
It'll be like that. It'll be just that high quality.
Yeah.
But it's exciting to be able to have all those heavy hitters in there, including yourself.
Dude, it'll be,
you know, Blotto.
I love the name too. Witness.
Witness.
Is a cool name.
And that's because that's what we were. And honestly, you know, I've heard Grant Britton use that term a lot.
Really?
And that's kind of where it came from. I didn't make that up. He had said it once before. He's like, I was just a witness. And I was like, man, that's so true. Like, it's true, because that's what we were.
Yeah.
We were just there.
I feel like guys like you and I kind of interject ourselves a little more than a witness sometimes, but
yeah, well, it's like
all our noise we make.
Yeah.
And there are those other guys that are just quiet, chilling.
Yeah.
But either way, we're there just to capture it and witness it and show it to the world.
We were there to have fun as well. To us, taking photos, honest, like being there, snowboarding with them, and actually capturing those moments, I think we had more fun than they did.
It definitely hurt less.
It did.
And the good times, the memories. Yeah, and looking at your photos from Stratton, just incredible seeing that time and the people that are there at the events. You know, like you just don't have that anymore.
Yeah, it's weird to see.
I mean, we all saw X Games. There wasn't that many people there.
Yeah.
But I guess it's going out to the world a different way, so.
I think there's lessons learned along the way. Like, you know, there's been a lot of like shake up and people talking about this past X Games, and people make mistakes, man. People do shit, and they're like, hey, we should try something, and it's not always going to work out. Like, it's like what we talked about earlier. There's no formula for this shit. People have somebody gets an idea, and they have an idea, and you know what? If it doesn't work and you realize it doesn't work, fix it for the next time. How about that? That's it. It's a good event. It's great. Some good riding.
Snowboarding was great.
Let's fix it.
Yeah, so snowboarding was great. People had a good time.
Back at the U.S. Open, though, man, I don't care where you lived on the East. If you were a snowboarder, you were driving there, and you were going to be in that crowd.
Or in a tree.
Yeah, the people in the trees, dude, in those photos.
Dude, those guys were, I was like, how the hell did they get up there?
And I can't believe Stratton didn't come up there and be like, dude, you got to get out of these trees.
I think they were scared.
They were, huh? It was a mob at that point.
Dude, they hid around.
I remember afterwards, I was just a young kid, but I remember, like, some of the snowboarders were getting in fights, like, with people in the side streets. Like,
remember the snowball fight across the pipe?
Yeah, the snowball. But
and then also poaching the pipe.
Yeah, the poaching.
That's huge.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's one thing that snowboarding's lost, is somebody just dropping in and getting after it.
Like Jeremy Bay.
Just going big, yeah.
Like Jeremy Bay was like, he never wanted to compete in a pipe contest because I'm going to go and just throw the biggest inverted whatever, like the bay flip, whatever it was. And everybody was like, yeah. They just let him do it.
And nobody does that kind of stuff anymore.
I know. It's serious. There's a lot more consequences now. You know?
That's so good.
I would have gone to jail back in the day. I mean, the stuff that we used to do. But I'm glad we did it.
Yeah. It had to go down that way. It'll probably come full circle back to it.
I just hope we have fun. I mean, that's all I care about. So we're just having fun and getting people back on snow again is important.
So
to me.
what got you full circle?
That's a good question. Yeah, how'd you come back? What brought you back?
I just think
because you could have just went and started to stack more money and made another book with the biggest athlete. And
snowboarding was always, you know, I always still was a road. It was still a part of me. But I think it was honestly the pandemic and having time and just actually being able to think for once. Like, because I was just day by day, I was always doing stuff, and I was just jumping from one city to the next. I just didn't have time to really think about it. I'm trying to be a father. I'm trying to be a husband. I'm trying to be a business owner. I'm trying to be a photographer, whatever it was. I didn't have time. And then when all that got shut down, I had time. And I think it was just like, what do I miss? What's going on? Like, who am I? What do I want to do? What if this is all done? What am I doing? So I just felt like, I think what it was like I realized some of these guys that were my heroes and I was just stoked to be around were just kind of not wasting away, but I felt like it was like, I don't know, like, where are they now? What are they doing? Like, how I want to talk to them. Like, what's going on with their lives? Like, you know, I have these pictures that they've never seen, or they're just been sitting in my closet, and like, they probably have kids now, and the kids don't even know how cool they were, or like how they meant to me. I just wanted to like do something. So I felt like that was the right thing to do, was to do a book, and that's how it became full circle. Because once I started having conversations with people, like I went on the road and I shot like 17 interviews, just sat down, didn't have a plan. It was just like, I'm going to go to Hobie and I'm going to freaking set up a great thing in this barn and we're just going to talk
Hobie
snowboarding.
chittin'.
Yeah. Or like everybody, I tried to do as many people as I could. And it was during the pandemic. So it was like they wanted to have some sense of like, you know, normalcy of having somebody come in and just talk about something they liked. And I felt like it was therapy in a way. So I'm psyched that it worked out. I'm glad that we're on the other side of this pandemic and like we can actually go out and we can actually do this and we're going to have events and you guys are doing events and it's all good. And what we have to realize is that we realize how fragile everything is and it could be gone in a day. So it's like, I'm going to do it while I have it.
I do like the idea of that you're able to take that time and think. I almost wish we could just get like a month to focus like that every year. China, they got that 30-day Chinese New Year. You know, they almost do that.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting because it did. A
I
lot
agree.
of people. Unfortunately, there's a real sad part of it. A lot of people lost businesses.
Yes,
but then there's a lot of other stories of rising from the ashes.
Bomb Hole was created in pandemic as well.
And we were given that time to sit and either fail or not fail, and we're still doing it.
You can choose to look at things through different lenses, right? Just like we do as photographers. And I think I'm an optimist, right? You know, I'm a glass half full person. That's how I am. I always try to look at the best of things. And it's like, you know, one of my kids is the opposite. And it's like, everything's negative. We might crash on a plane. Everything's like, dude, you need to flip the script and think about it in a different way. So, yeah, like I needed to use the pandemic. Something was so gnarly, horror film based. And how am I going to make this good? And guess what, man? I liked being home. I liked hanging out with my wife. I liked going grocery shopping and feeling like I was a savior. I felt like I was a man. It was just weird. I just felt different. And I learned to like being there, if that makes any sense. And again, some people there all the time are like, my life, I wasn't around as much, but having the pandemic as an excuse to wake up every morning, be in my house, have a routine. I could work out every day. I could, you know, have my coffee with my wife. We'd sit and talk. We'd watch the news. We'd talk shit about politics, whatever it was. We were still together and we were living. And there was something raw and beautiful about that I just appreciate. So I thank the pandemic for a lot of things. But it's like, how do you look at things? Because things can be so bad, but can you find goodness in those bad things? I mean, you watch other people's stories. Man, I got injured. You know, whatever, so-and-so, this happened to me, but I became a better person from it. Paul Pierce did a shoot with him. He's a dick. He's the worst person you ever want to work with. And like, he had just got stabbed and just got out of the hospital. I had to do a cover shoot with him. And I was like, oh man, what's this going to be like? And was just all the nicest person ever. Went to his house in Compton, hung out with him. He brought us in. I ended up, you know, he took me to his school. He talked to me about, you know, what it was like being stabbed and almost dying. And he said, if I can get through this, I will change who I am and I'll be more thankful. But sometimes it takes an event for you to realize just how fragile life is and how special it is. And we talked about that earlier, Chris. And it is important. Like, sometimes you need to be faced with a little bit of humility and adversity to be better. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's at least, I'm a very deep. I can get deep.
Oh, I love that shit.
I mean, like I was talking to you about Jameel Khan, he's still a special part of my life. And to be able to, you know, have his passing be the first time that I ever experienced that, and like having some spiritual moments after he had passed away was just the start of like kind of being in touch with maybe things like that, or being a little bit more open to. I wouldn't say paranormal, because it's not that. I just think it's like spirituality. Like you said, man, I'm like in the woods and like, we get so busy. We're mountain biking or we're doing this, we're snowboarding, we're getting from point A to point B, we're jumping stuff. Can you ever just stop and just freaking just stop? Just come to a stop in the middle of the woods or just wherever you're at and just like listen to the birds chirping, listen to that water trickling through the meadow in the background, listen to people having fun in the distance, listen to, a little slough slide, and all that shit is stuff that happens every day around us. Put down the goddamn iPhone and look out the window in a car when you're driving. Those types of things are so important, and those are the things the memories that we're gonna have, for our lives. And like those special moments you got to take and just really like appreciate, because there's more to life. The life as existence as a human being on this planet, I think, is so much deeper than we know. We're not supposed to know what really is going on, or why we're really here, or who we really are. But I don't subscribe to any one particular thing, and I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person, and I've become a spiritual person. I wasn't like, it was something that I've just, all the experiences I've had have led me to believe that I just, I'm not afraid of death. I know I'm scared of that moment it happens, but because I just don't know if I'm gonna, what it's gonna be like. But I know wholeheartedly that there's something else, and this is just what we're going through right now is just a small part of what it means to be a person, a human being. We're all the same in reality. We just all have, like, I look at the shit going on in the world right now, Ukraine, or all this fighting and all that stuff. Everybody's got their own agendas and things, but guess what? And if you really boil it down, we all want the same crap. We all just want to be happy. We all just want to live our lives and not have to worry, and we want to be able to have food on our tables and take care of our kids. It's everyone. It's not like everyone's different. They want different things. No, we all want the same things. We just can we just all get along? Like, really, can we all figure out how to like live together on this little blue ball floating in space that could blow up at any second? That would not affect anything going on in our
So true.
I look at stuff like that and I really appreciate it. That doesn't scare me. It just stokes me out to know that like we really don't matter, kind of. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of, to me, that might sound scary for other people.
That's
I'm
pretty
like,
wild.
I think it's dope. I think it's dope that there's some crazy shit going out there. And we're like a piece of dust that's been on a carpet in the corner of your room that you'll never touch because the vacuum can't get to it, but we're just there. It's just that's how big it is. But I mean, again, I have conversations like this with clients all the time, and they're just like, they'll just sit there, and I get deep in that stuff. But just because it's just age, it's just wisdom, it's just appreciation for life and everything that's in it. And sometimes you got to stop and look and pay attention and the shit around you, and it all starts to make sense.
That's awesome.
Fucking great rant, Gary. That was you were dropping knowledge.
Dude,
bombs.
I need more salt.
Dude, as when we shoot photos, sometimes we're left in the middle of the woods while the riders go off on the snowmobile, and we get to hear those sounds of the forest. And when you have that moment, it's pretty dope.
Aaron Blatt, I was just at Baldface recently, and I hurt myself, first day, and I was kind of really bummed out that I'd done that, hit a tree or whatever, and Blatt was so rad. Never met Blatt before we had talked, and like he just was like just a chill dude. And he was just hanging out. We're hanging out, and he's just like, he goes, "Hey man, I want to take you somewhere else. Come on, let's go to Craig's Cross." I was like 6, so he takes me up to Craig's, and man, I was like talking about just a moment, like he just just manhandling the sled, getting all the way up there, and it's just like that he does it every day. But to me, it was just like I'll never forget that experience. Like somebody as nice as he was to take the moment to bring me up to that sled or bring me up in that sled to just see Craig's Cross was just like, and then and I really sat there and I thought about all these moments that I'd seen of Craig or never met him. I didn't need to meet him. Because of what he did and like what I had remembered or where I had painted this picture of him was so important. So I just think, man, going to Baldface like that, there's just so much. I had such a great experience, even though I sat 2 days. The amount of people there and the energy that was in that place is just so special. So, I mean, when they say it's a bucket list place, that's no exaggeration.
So going back to what you said, I just this popped in my head, and before I forgot, I wanted to mention they have a mission statement in Baldface, and it's something. Sorry, Jeff, if I butcher this, but something along the lines of to share the infinite wisdom of the mountains for those that are wise enough to seek it out.
Wow.
That's
I did
dope.
not know that.
Yeah,
And that's you talking about being at Craig's Cross and having that moment is just like, boom, mission accomplished.
Dude, and how cool is it that Blatt just pulled you aside and brought you?
We don't know each other. I talked to him before about submitting to witness, which he did. But like, I just, man, when you just know good people, he's just such a good person. We talked to him, we communicated on so many levels, similarities, and being a photographer and chasing the dream and, being involved in it and every day having something different. I just thought it was so cool. And like Blotto's the same way, all these people that I meet, that I look at going, man, these guys are like just killing it in their, in their time. It's just like you too, Ethan. Like, Jesus, the amount of photos you guys have just been around. It's not even just like I look at the finished photo. It's not even that. You look at the finished photos covers, but the stories behind just the shit that led up to that one shot. Prepping for it, seeking out the location, like how many tries it took.
Diarrhea in a train tunnel.
Yeah. Oh my God, I've got those stories. Oh God, isn't that the weird? You get the bubble guts. No.
In those foreign countries, man.
Oh, I got
some of the food.
Do you have people talk about like shit like that? Like,
yeah, we do.
Yeah, we are 12-year-olds.
I had one at Stratton like that.
Yeah, we talking Shart? What are we talking?
Oh, worse. This is great.
Worse than a Shart. That's full.
I was during the open. During the
Full
open,
log
I was
scenario.
sick and I was taking some sort of antibiotics or something. But you were supposed to take it with food, so I had left and I popped in the pills, antibiotics I'd eaten all day, and I'm driving and I get halfway and I'm like, it was like a Dumb and Dumber moment. It's like, it's like what? It's like, oh my God. And like, so fucking, I'm like sweating. And I pull over to a general store and like, I'm like, excuse me, can I use your bathroom? Oh, we ain't got no bathroom. I'm like, what?
Dude,
no, you have a bathroom? Like, no, we don't have a bathroom. I'm like, oh my God. And I like leave. I go back out. My car's like, I get a Subaru, like little hatchback. I'm like fishtailing out of the parking lot. I'm like, I'll go to the next place. And I pull over to the next place. We ain't got no bathroom. I'm like, it's coming out. I run in the back. Like I kind of get in my car and I drive and I'm like, okay, no, I got to pull over. I see a place. I pull over. I'm in the back, run out of the car. I grabbed a shirt I see and like, oh my God, I don't know, toilet paper. And I go jump over the snowbanks, pull down my snowboard pants and just unload. And I'm like sitting there and I'm like, it was like the greatest feeling ever. And I kind of look over and I'm like, it's a police station.
Oh no.
And I'm like, see cops in the window. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, Jesus. And then I look down, I had shit all in my snowboard pants.
No.
Yeah, so like I had to throw my snowboard pants away. So here I am trying to get my pants off, shitty pants. I throw them in the snowbank, trying to bury them. Here I am in like long johns, which were fine. Thank God.
You got that Burton AK that just
dude, it was
like
so
soup.
bad, dude.
None of it getting out of there.
So then I'm like, am I finished? Am I done? I'm good. I get back in the car with my waffle freaking thermals on, and I'm like, I get in the car and I'm driving. I get somewhere else and I'm like, no,
there's more.
So before I get on the highway, I see Dunks, and I pull into the Dunks, and it's like no one in there, and I run past the counter. Hey guys, doing into the bathroom, blow out. Come back out, and you got to realize I'm in like Sorel's or something, and like freaking
put a close sign on
and
the
like
door.
freaking like shitter pants, and then I come back out. I just like thanks, and I leave. But like that wasn't the last time, but that was the first time that happened, and I'm like that was gnarly.
Dude, the
Respect.
double.
Good what they say, you don't respect you or you can't trust the guy
somebody who doesn't have a good diarrhea story.
Yeah, good shit
what I'm
story.
wondering is when you walk into those stores and they tell you they don't have a bathroom and you know they have a bathroom.
Oh yeah.
I'm wondering if they like know what's going on.
If I had a gun, I would have been like,
"Tell
him on the bathroom."
This guy's sweating. He's anxious. I'm not letting him blow up my bathroom.
Right? Yeah, that's crazy shit.
And how can you do that to a person that's in that bad?
That's
you
what
can
I
tell
thought.
they're in that bad a need.
It wasn't like we're in the pandemic. That was another thing, trying to use a bathroom in the pandemic.
True. That was, they just shut them all down.
Shut them all down.
Even Starbucks. You can trust the Starbucks bathroom. You know it's going to be good. They had those things blocked off.
I got friends who are like, I've never shit in a public place. I'm like, well, you got problems.
Yeah, you might want to talk to a therapist about that.
I was like, I'll go anywhere, bro.
Dude, they obviously
I'm like on a plane. You would shit on a plane? I'm like, what? If there's a toilet there, what do you... Like, yeah. I'm like, if I gotta go, I'm going. People hold that shit like, freaking SpongeBob face. All like, I'm like,
my brother had a scenario in one of those small planes where he got diarrhea and there was no bathroom.
Oh.
And he had to shit in the puke bag. the back of the
Dude.
There was no choice. There was no other option.
Dude, we had a guy, I wasn't there, but this is a true story too. During a hockey, hockey gets kind of nasty. So I play in a Massachusetts men's league, okay?
Respect.
D-League, too.
There's about 15
D-League.
15 Budweisers in every one
Oh,
of
yeah.
those bags.
Natty Ice. We got one of our players is called Natty Ice because he brings the Natty Ice. So the game before us, these guys got in a fight, and the dude basically goes into the locker room and shits in this guy's glove.
Power move.
That's
Shit
some
in a
D-League
glove.
shit right
And
there.
the guy literally put on the glove with a shitty hand. Like, I mean, dude,
gosh.
that's like legendary shit.
That's some hardcore shit.
No, I couldn't do that. I don't have the aim.
I'm more into like cheeky fun shit.
Yeah,
Like, well, that
that's
was funny.
like some spiteful
That's
shit.
like some like deep dark. Stuff.
Yeah, like
I mean, unless they were really good buds, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna get this motherfucker.
Gotta watch what you eat, man.
Yeah.
Well, Buds,
Yeah.
he's got a situation that if he eats too healthy, he shits himself.
Really?
Yeah, dude. it's-
Really?
He's like
Like, give me, like,
he's
get-
allergic to healthy food.
Like
Basically.
what type
Well,
of
this
food?
happened after since
Like an
the
acai
one that
bowl
happened.
shit?
Dude. Since the other day, he orders from this healthy place, and then just within 30 minutes it happens. But a couple days ago, I was like, we should eat some vegan food. Straight up vegan, and within like 30 minutes, I was put down for like 24 hours, like in bed, like
Like, holy-
ready to die, basically.
So basically, you go to a restaurant with Buds. If it's organic, he's like, I'm sorry, I can't eat that. Can you send it back? Like I just
Yeah,
Is
no
that
organic.
grass fed? I can't eat. Do you have preservatives?
Yeah.
Like, I need something that's
that
way,
free range, nope, not
free range
doing
doesn't
that.
You know what the
work for
true?
him.
The thing that does me right, bananas.
Yeah, it just sends you every time.
No, it's the
Oh.
best. It keeps. So I have like
it keeps
my
you right.
go-to is oatmeal and bananas, like cut up in the oatmeal. That's like I'm like 5 days a week I do that, and it's like
Keeps you right.
My wife's like, "How do you do that so much?" I'm like, "I love it. It's like keeps you full, but it does. I notice when I do that, I'm good.
It keeps you
Keeps you
balanced.
solid.
When I don't, I don't."
I don't.
All right, we're gonna get into hot takes here.
Hot takes.
Hot takes are presented by Oakley. I recently started rocking a helmet in my old age. I got about 5 brain cells left. I'm trying to keep it at 5 right now, not get down
we can't
to 4.
dip lower than 5, bro.
Yeah, so I run the Oakley Mod 1 helmet, and then I run the Oakley Line Miner goggles. I go goggles over the helmet. It's a good combo. They work great. Shout out to Oakley. Thanks for supporting the show. And we're going to get into hot takes. It's a staple. So we always start with this one. First question is, Michael Jordan and or GOAT to you, kind of your GOAT of snowboarding, both male and female. Who you got?
To me, it's Jeff Brushy,
Nice.
Terry A. Hot second, but Jeff Brushy.
Not Hawkinson, hot second.
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
Girl would have to be Trish Burns. For just, I was
Oh,
there with
great
her at the right
choice.
time. She was like our little sister. But Zoe's like, I look at the now and I'm just so impressed with that girl. Oh my God, she's insane. But yeah, she's the stuff that she's doing blows my mind. But like if you're talking about old school, it would have to be Trish would just be it. And then Jamie McLeod because, she pushed the envelope for a lot of girls
sick.
too.
Love the
heard that
Jamie
yet.
McLeod. We haven't heard
Yeah,
that one yet.
McLeod's rad, and I just sat with her recently too, and she's really, she snowboarded to get prize money to buy saddles for her horses. She was a horse racer.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so she was, watching her ride and just kind of figuring it out and progressively getting better over time was just really cool to see. But but people like Trish were there to kind of take her underneath her wing and just like support her and but yeah,
Solid. East Coast royalty right there. Next question. Photographer GOAT of snowboarding.
Bud Fawcett.
I've been creeping on his gram a lot lately. Woo.
I got to pay him.
Guy's got some
Pay him.
photos.
Dude, it's just he's got crazy photos. Like it's not even. It's a joke. And like when you think you've seen them all, it's like what? It's
Yeah.
like, he said, "Come sit with me, man. I'll just show you all my stuff." I'm like, yes, I will, because I'm impressed, honestly, and like to be able to do that the way he did it with like a lot of like no motor drives,
Yeah.
like one shot, like he just
At the time when he did it.
he knew what he was doing, and he worked with some of the greatest, to me, in my mind, some of the best snowboarders in the world.
Okay, is snowboarding an art or a sport?
It's an art, that's turned into a sport. for those that think it's a sport. But it's not. To me, it's neither. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. Surfing. It's like you can get money, you can get paid. There's competitions, but do you surf when you got nothing else to do and you just want to go out and the waves are good? Yeah, that's a lifestyle. So to me, snowboarding, yeah, art, lifestyle for sure.
Who's the most underrated of all time?
In snowboarding?
In your mind, to you.
God, that's a loaded question. I mean, underrated of all time. You know what? I never thought of it that way because I always think I always put everybody, I always never think of anybody's underrated because I always rated everybody so high. I don't know if that makes sense, but if I had to say, I don't know, man. I don't have an answer for that. It's a really good one. I mean, I don't have it's not coming to me. I mean, I would, because I'm just thinking of people like that were around back in the day, and like,
I mean, I'd say there's a lot of East Coast dudes that never got the shine that they could have got. Hobie, you mentioned him. He's a dude that
but like he's just a legend.
Yeah,
like he's not. It's like rated. You only rated him based on if you're rating someone based on their riding or their influence or whatever. I don't know. It's just really really tough because there were so many people that just like were good and they hung out and they're like, I think Colin Lentz is. And I'll tell you why, because like he had more style than anybody had ever seen come out of the East Coast, come out of Pennsylvania, and he was a generics rider, but like his crooked cops and like just shit was just, like he tweaked out of his mind. And he went so high. He's completely out of snowboarding now. He's just kind of like one of those guys. I haven't seen him in 20 plus years, but like I think we all rated him high because we knew what he was capable of, but I just don't think he ever got the spotlight that he should have gotten. Just because I don't think he wanted it.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? So there's guys like that, and I just have to say his name, and like, guys like Jim Kelly, like he was one of the first people I ever shot with, and just he pushed the envelope every day, and just had so much style, was super fun to shoot with, and he moved out west and didn't do so hot out west. Like I think landing in powder and like doing things like that just didn't serve him well. Whether that was part technology, part the board, whatever it was, I just feel like,
All right. For hot takes, next question, we got steel or powder? Like rails or powder?
Powder.
Best style ever?
Peter Line.
Fucking love that answer. Best snowboard video ever made?
God, I'm torn on those because I love The Garden, which is one of my favorites. But you guys will my favorite movie, and you're gonna laugh, has to be Roadkill.
Nice,
love that.
I don't know Roadkill, the music,
sick.
the rails, like Gooch's part, Ranquit, like all that was a really good film. But man, The Garden when that came out just took it to a whole nother level because I think Roadkill was first, and The Garden came out right after that. And Volcom, they did such a good job on that movie. I really loved it. And Terry, I mean, just there's so many good ones though, like Subject Hawkinson. But if you ask me, I think my first answer is The Garden.
Sick.
Okay, favorite board graphic.
Favorite board graphic would have to be. I would probably say the Brushy Dice board, just because. No, I'm gonna take it back. Probably Terrier Swordboard. Terrier Swordboard because that was the first time I was just like, oh my God. Watching him ride that board just made me want to snowboard more. And then I met the guy who actually did the design for that board, so that just put it over the edge. So,
great answer. If you could go heliboarding with 3 people, you're just going good times. Ripping pow turns. You can take anybody in the world. You can take Allan Iverson. You can take celebrities, friends, doesn't matter. Who you taking to go have a good time in the copter?
Easy. Craig Kelly, Jamil Khan, and Jeffy.
Good crew right there.
Fucking love that answer. Good stuff. Beaver slap. You're in the lift line. You got snow on your board. Are you one that hits a fat smack in the lift line, or you kind of keep it tame?
I keep it tame.
Keep it tame. Okay. Okay. Last question. Worst trend.
TikTok is the worst trend. I mean, I can't do it. Dance videos. I don't know what it is.
Good answer. All right, Buds, you know what it's time for.
Woo, I do, and it's pub beer time, my friend.
You gonna crack some can?
Yes, I am, my friend. It's cheap, it's fun, and hold on, delicious.
It's delicious. They support the show. They support snowboarding. They support a bunch of really cool stuff. So if you're thinking about having a couple ice colds responsibly, what are you gonna choose, Buds?
Pub beer every time.
All right, let's do the crapshoot.
Welcome to the Pub Beer Crapshoot.
All right, roll that dice. We'll tell you what you got to do.
Throw them bones. Get a 4.
4. What is one of your worst bails, Gary? Give us a good bail.
One of my worst bails was definitely getting hazed by, which is really funny. We were just talking about that JP Auclair, JF Cousin, Mike Douglas, and those guys. I was following them around some backcountry stuff, and I got hazed off of a small little cliff, like, basically fucking with me.
Well, they were like, dude,
you gotta jump off this.
You gotta do this.
Yeah, and ragdolling down, bah, 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 all the way down. Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, those guys, JP would go like 200 feet to his back. He's that dude, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, I followed around all the guys bailing half the time. I just try to stay on the board with a backpack. But yeah, that was probably my worst fall.
One thing we forgot to talk about, Buds, is this guy, Cheddar Bisque.
Yeah.
We gotta talk bisque, dude. Give us like
throw us a bone.
Throw us a bone here. Give us something.
Maybe like highest paid photo shoot.
There you go.
Oh my God.
All right, that's what Cheddar Bisque's all about.
So,
and it's a past shoot, so it's okay to talk about it.
Yeah. So, I used to do a lot of shoots for Coca-Cola. There was one of my clients, and I was making really good money shooting day rates. My day rates were over $35,000 a day.
That was your day rate?
Over that. Just shooting. Just stepping up to shoot. And then I'd get paid usage on top of it. I know.
That was to get out of bed, basically.
Pretty much. And then, so Coca-Cola had reached out to my clients, and they were asking, they said, listen, we want to secure Gary for the year, $1 million for the year. And I would have a certain amount of shoots I would have to do. And they said no. I was like, what? You're going to say no? And they did, and that's when I didn't really realize what I was making at times. My agents were making 35% of what I made, so they made 35% of my day rate, so they just charged. And at that point, like...
Wait, your agent said no?
My agent said no, because they knew how much work I was already doing for Coke. So...
Jeez, dude.
I know. So that's a joke. Those days are gone, bro. They don't have
Okay, so these
anymore.
That
was in the highlight of my career, and like it was honestly wrong, so wrong, but... It was right at the same time. And yeah, so so anyway, just so you know.
It's wrong, but it's right at the same time.
That's kind of a real deal. But like, again, that's not what it's like now. But dude, I did live those days when it was like that.
That is a day rate, dude.
It's a crazy day rate. It's like everything. So
that's what Jan Buds charges to show up in the streets.
Dude, snowboarding, they don't see day rates like that.
No.
Those don't exist.
No, but again, like I said, like it doesn't.
I mean, that's a day where you're hiring a crew. You're not even barely doing any work. You like walk in and press the button after your crew sets it up.
Those shoots we were shooting at Cristiano Ronaldo in Portugal for Nike. We were supposed to go one day in and out in Lisbon, biggest pitch on the planet to shoot Cristiano Ronaldo. Doesn't show up. All our lights. I've got tons. I mean, $6,000 just for the day rate of renting lights and on this pitch, ready for him to show up. Didn't show up. Pack it up, come back the next day. He's going to be here tomorrow. Same thing. Boom.
Do you get paid still each day?
Oh, yeah. They pay me. And then we're like playing soccer. Like, all we did was just like fuck around waiting for him to show up. We're sweating our asses off. Like, hope he doesn't show up now. Like just every day for a week, he didn't show up. And we ended up leaving Portugal without taking one photo of Cristiano Ronaldo. And that shoot was like a €325,000 photo shoot.
And you still get paid?
That they paid for, that Nike paid for, that never saw an image.
And they're just like, whatever. That's
so I mean, it was crazy, but that's just how the industry works. It's like I shot Rory McIlroy for Oakley, and it was a great shoot, unbelievable shoot. But the problem was that we never saw the light of day because he ended up signing with someone else. He didn't sign with Oakley. So we did the shoot thinking that they were going to sign the deal, and the deal never got signed. Wow. So that's just how the industry works.
We call that burning bud.
Yeah, burning some serious bud.
Sure, burning them, buddy.
Do you still have an agent?
Yeah, I've got a couple agents.
Multiple.
Yeah. I mean, for different things.
Yeah.
But, yeah, great guy. Ed Veritis is a great, John Kenny, those guys have been with me for 10 years. And just they're good dudes, good human beings. And, like, I had another rep years ago, and I left her and went with these guys. And I've been with those guys ever since. And, now I'm kind of repping dudes. And,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Trying to bring people on and sharing the love. And as the industry changes and progresses, just trying to build awareness and let people understand how that industry works and what to expect and what to charge. And there's a lot of salty motherfuckers out there, dude. I'll own Clubhouse, sometimes when Clubhouse just came out, it was a good place or meeting place for people to talk shop and try to understand one another and just a good meeting place. And then you just get people going, man, the industry's on the fast track to hell. It's like no one's making any money anymore. It's like people are getting underbid. And I'm like, you know what it is? It's not even that. It's just everything's changing. Everyone's a photographer now. Everyone's got a camera at their fingertips all the time. An instant gratification, putting right up on your platforms instantaneously. It's a different time.
You got to be able to bounce with it.
Yeah,
people just get salty and they need to like bob and weave and stick and move, and
right.
They get salty and fade out.
It's either you're gonna stick with that and survive and learn to adapt, or you're just gonna fade away. And I choose to adapt and just move on. I'm going to take those shoots that don't make that much money, but I will use that shoot to my advantage to get the next job.
Yeah, and you'll have some younger kid, you can send them out with your knowledge 100%. And do that shoot for you.
Or have that kid work for you that's actually shooting stuff for you that you're still making some sort of money on somewhere, somehow.
Yeah.
And still giving him a great opportunity as an education.
And he's loving it. Yeah, he's getting education and a little money in the pocket.
100%.
Him or her, and bam.
Oh, I love it.
All right, we're going to wrap up this show here. A couple last things. Setups. I think it would be good to ask him his camera setup. What's your one go-to?
Are you sponsored by Pro Photo?
I used to be.
Used to be.
Yeah.
Dude, do you Google like Pro Photo lighting tips? It's all this guy telling you what to do.
I know.
Full on videos.
Back in the day. Yeah, I still have a good relationship with those guys. I'm getting ready to buy a bunch of new power packs and Pro
They don't just
Pro
send them
11s.
to you?
No, God. Dude, those things are like $20,000 a piece. Yeah, so I'm going to invest a bunch of money in some new technology because it's insane right now. But my setup, I have a lot of different cameras, for stills. For larger stuff, when I'm more controlled space, I have a Fuji GFX 100 that I use, like a 100 megapixel file. It's a great camera.
100 meggies, huh?
It's like a large format digital, so it's just got a really good fall off. I mean, you could be at f11 and it still feels like a 2.8 lens sometimes. So it's got a good look. But the Canon R5 to me is the best camera out there. I mean, out of any camera I've ever used, the files are insane, low light capability, the focusing system with the targeting, and then just, that sensor that they use is just amazing. The R glass, it's good. There's some good ones. They need to do more primes. They do a lot of zooms. So, but
you gotta get off that Canon and move into that Nikon.
I was a Nikon. Are you a Nikon guy?
Yeah, I used to be Canon though, and I swapped one year because I was like, I want some new shit.
Yeah, I was a Nikon guy early on, back in the early days, and then just kind of stuck with what I knew. And then with motion stuff, I'm shooting either film. I use a Canon Scoopik, which is an old, really cool like sports 16 millimeter film camera, and I also have a bunch of Reds that I use. And I'm really in love with the Raptor. I think it's insane. It's a great camera.
That's the new smaller.
The Komodo's the smaller one,
Komodo.
but the Raptor's dope. It's kind of a bigger boy powerhouse guy, but just the color science on it's really great, and it's a good file. And people used to talk shit on Red. I've known Red since pretty much it came out. When to go into Oakley and seeing a early version of it, and so I've kind of like drank that Kool-Aid earlier on. So I've just kind of stuck with it, and it's worked for me. So
something's working.
Incredible.
Totally.
Well, last thing we're gonna ask you before we wrap it up. Do you want to throw any thank yous out?
Oh my God. Yeah, always. I mean, I think thank you guys, for having me here and to be able to talk shop, and it's so fun and reminisce, and thanks to all the people that have supported me throughout my career, and obviously supporting East Street Archives, and God, there's just too many people to thank. But I'm really stoked, and stoked to be here, and you know, again, if you don't want, you know, I don't know. I was like, trying to think.
Yeah.
No, but you know, my wife obviously, and I thanked her in the book. You know, she's like, I met her at Killington the first my first day there. The first time I moved from Virginia Beach to the mountains to shred, I met her, and she's been with me ever since. We're just celebrated 25 years, and she's rad. She's the person that keeps me together for sure. So definitely she's number one, but you know, friends and family for sure.
Well, Gary, thank you for all that you do for snowboarding.
Oh man,
and being you. We
Thank
really
you,
appreciate
man.
you.
I appreciate you. Yeah, hell yeah. Thanks, guys.
And
cheers.
Cheers. And I want to say thank you to all the listeners and everybody that supports the show. We love you guys. Over and out from the bomb hole.
Peace.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
Woo.